Thanks for saying that, Survival. I just realized that I wasn't even up on the screen. Oh, I'm such a noob. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vex Warfield. I am Vex, your host. Oh, I was just going through a whole monologue, too. Damn. I thought I was really saying some shit. Oh, wow. All right, let's get this sucker cooking. All right, tonight, you may have noticed by the title, it's titled Mind, Body, and Soul. And giving them, well, the love they deserve. Because you can't, hey, Nate, here, let me just go ahead and do this. Go back and tell everybody hi. All right, we got Survival. We got God's Night. We got Rebel Jack. We got Scrimshaw. We got Common Sense Common Law. Good name. And then we got Nate Too Good. How you doing, Nate? Glad you all here. Let's go ahead and get this cracking. All right, so before I realized I've been on mute all this time, which, sorry guys, but I was essentially saying that mind, body, and soul, we have a problem today with so many people not taking care of themselves. And the result of this is, now I'm not just talking about, your bodily health, I'm talking about your mental health, and not to mention your soul. Now, what we have here is a plague of soullessness. And if you're soulless, you don't really think about take care of your mind or your body, because you just don't think about it. Now, one of the things I've learned is that you take care of one and you take care of the other, and that somehow fills up the third. Now, what I mean by that is, let me actually throw it out there. Take care of your mind, take care of your body, and your soul will take care of you. Now, there's not really a big trick to this. Now, it's start as simple as finding out, like, the physical aspect of it. We'll go body first. The body is a biomachine. It takes certain things to keep it running in perfect condition. Relatively perfect. Now, if you don't give this biomachine what it needs, and you give it stuff that it doesn't necessarily need, we'll just call that, I don't know, what's a good word for it? Junk food. Then that's what your body is made of. It takes what it can from that and tries to utilize it as best as possible. And if it has nothing but junk to work with, your cells are going to turn into junk. Now, what I mean by that is that if you don't give your cells what they need to operate efficiently, they will break down and malfunction. Just like a car. If you put sugar in the gas tank, it ain't going to work right, because sugar's not supposed to be there. Sugar doesn't burn well. I mean, it's an apt analogy. If you don't give your cells what it needs to function correctly, it will malfunction. And a malfunction can raise its head in many different ways. Oh yeah, I was going to run this also. But a malfunction can make itself known in many different ways. One of the first things people might think of is obviously cancer. That is the cell going crazy because it doesn't have the right stuff to do its job properly. Now, if you can find a way, had my volume up on YouTube, but that is the cell going crazy and malfunctioning. It can also manifest itself in other ways, like, for instance, allergies. Allergies are a hell of a way of your body trying to cope with something it can't handle. And it can't handle it because you don't have the right nutrients to take care of it. I used to have allergies before I got into supplements, and it wasn't anything major. Typical. My nose would run, and have to sneeze a lot and stuff like that. Lots of phlegm, nasty stuff. But ever since I got on the supplements, I haven't had any problems with any allergies whatsoever. I mean, I know everybody who knows me knows I've said this before, but this is for all those who might not be able to realize how easy it is to actually fix yourself physically. Now, there's certain things that, beyond repair type of thing, to a certain extent at least. And it starts with the body. This is one of the things that I want to impart on everyone is my little, I hate using the word, but my little journey into healthiness in my mind, body, and soul. And it was clearing of my mind that helped me see a lot of stuff. And I physically cleared my mind with the supplements and gave my body nutrients. And during this time, I'm looking for, the truth about whatever I can find. So I'm working on my mind at the same time. And I'm noticing that as I'm taking the supplements and giving my body the right nutrients, then it is clearing my mind and making it easier for me to understand what's going on. Hey, John, good to see you. And in that, it's almost like a chain reaction. Taking care of my body, took care of my mind, and allowed me to take care of my soul. And then in return, my soul takes care of me. Think about it like this. I mean, we're energy inhabiting a physical body. Now, we control the body, but I think of it as like a little feedback loop that comes back. Because while it controls the body, I believe it has an effect on the soul. The body has an effect on the soul. Yep, exactly. Positive mental attitude is optimum. I mean, it has to all start somewhere. And this is just where I started. I started because I have the, little scientific type of ways to do things. I run my little experiments. Well, these experiments I happen to be doing on myself. I've told this story many times. I started with iodine. I started with iodine because I heard the side effect was burning up fat and raising your metabolism, and not to mention you could raise your quote unquote IQ points because it cleans up the gunk that essentially clings onto your brain. And so it flushes it clean. And at least that's the way I think about it. And I went through that and did 1 drop 1 week. Second week I did 2 drops. Third week I did 3 drops. And by the time I was in the third week of it, I had lost so much fat on me. And I noticed that I didn't lose muscle. It was actually kind of weird because I could actually see my body the way it was changing. I wouldn't have, the big old, I don't drink, but, beer belly and the fat face and stuff like that. And it went away. I keep using the word melt away. It melted away. It really did. And that was just a side effect of it. I noticed that I was able to recall things a little better. I still have memory problems. Granted, But I'm better at recalling things that I, make myself want to recall. Quite a few different things. But anyway, that in it, taking care of my body, finding out what it was deficient in, and fulfilling that need properly, it enabled my mind to do more. And it allowed me to say things better, see things from other points of view. I was able to take my emotions and hold on to them and not let them go crazy. I was in control of myself. Am in control of myself. And I didn't used to be. I know everybody's usually, probably heard me talk about it, but I didn't have a horrible childhood, but I had a very bad childhood. I wasn't, like molested or anything like that. I was mentally abused, but it was a little bit of physical abuse. But I started going off on a different way. Anyway, yeah, I dealt with a few things, but I know people out there had it way worse than I did. I knew that for a fact. I knew people. I mean, I had a couple of buddies back in school that, yeah, then I wouldn't want to stay in their house. But I knew even back then that while my childhood was kind of shitty, other people had it way worse than I did, and other people had it way better. So I was kind of in the middle, but I was able to use hindsight in that regard. And now that I've gotten older and learned a few more tools about handling myself, I was able to basically rein in my anger. And that was one of the main emotional outbursts that I did, much like many other people. But I transmuted everything into anger. So I was a walking ball of anger, literally. People told me that, all the time and after the fact that their always first impression that I was looking for a fight. And, well, more or less I was. Just constantly going, what? What are you going to do? Do something. I dare you. And it was, I don't know why. In hindsight, it was, I guess, more or less just wanting interaction. And most people were fighters. I mean, well, as far as the guys I hung around and stuff like that. So that's how it came out. And I had plenty of ammunition growing up, much like many of you guys might. But the point to it is, I knew this was happening, but I didn't have the self-control it or work on it. So I sought them. That's one of the main things that I've known, that most people don't know to seek out help, even if it's doing it on your own. But I wanted to know why I was like I was and how I could fix it. Because quite frankly, coming home every weekend with a black eye or a busted nose or anything like that got kind of tiring. And we've all been through a scrape twice. And I don't know about you, but after a fight, I'm pretty damn beat. Not, well, yeah, kind of literally. But I'm tired and worn out, can't think straight, maybe. And it got old quick. But I didn't know anything else until I went looking for it, something else. It took me, engaging in the actual few conversations to realize, that I was looking in all the wrong places. But I was pointed into a direction of, well, basically it was somebody that knew somebody that had an aunt that was beginning, just graduated 2 years out of school for uh, shrink. And so she was still doing that, I guess she was still in this mindset of trying to figure the regular person out type of thing. I don't think I'm explaining that well. But she met me and agreed to talk to me a little bit without charging the crap out of me. And essentially, I learned a few things, and well, like I said, got a few tools, and that enabled me to take a step back. It gave me a route to take. It gave me a way to step outside of the situation and see it for what it was. Granted, it took a lot of practice, but no, I still practice. But it's been a great tool that I would hope that a lot of other people could have. But I haven't seen that in everyday life, where most people will actually go to the emotional outbursts before they'll even consider thinking. Sometimes they won't even consider thinking at all. They just go with the outburst, and he who yells the loudest is the correct one. And we've all seen that, if nothing else in our personal lives or online, because there's plenty of videos of it. So, like I said, well, actually, continuing on to the next part, to where that it leads into the mind and the soul. Well, the mind, from the mind to the soul. Now, in what me realizing that I had a problem and finding different tools to work on that problem, over time, I was able to start, well, actually not start, continue with my spiritual investigation, we'll call it. My spiritual investigation started when I was young, and basically it started actually when I was really young, when, your mom sends you with an envelope with 50 cents in it to the church on Sunday, and, you go to Sunday school. And it never made sense to me. One, I wanted to sleep late, of course, so I was that type of kid. Didn't want to be woke up and sent to church. The hell. But she made me go, and so I went. And I just remember hearing all these stories out of the Bible. They tell you stories and all that good stuff. I mean, most of you guys are aware of that. I would hope, at least. But the stories didn't make sense. I mean, sure, they had good lessons with them and stuff like that, but they just didn't make sense to me. And I started questioning things. And most people don't like being questioned when they, feel that their way is the way. So you can imagine that I didn't last too long in that church. And I told my mom the reason why, and she just kind of chuckled at me and said, "Well, okay, but we're going to talk about the Bible on, Sundays at least." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Just don't wake up early in the morning and send me to church. But yeah, I was never very good at following rules, I guess, and that applied even in this. Now, getting into the soul is something that is, I don't know if I can, describe the way I see it, but essentially it's that energy I was talking about earlier. It is your essence, a connection to Creator, God, whatever you want to deem it. But it's that connection that is so powerful, it emits through the flesh of our body. And if you can think about it about it as the creator on a different dimension. And the soul is a tendril that comes from that dimension to here. And manifests within a body. Now, think of that energy coming from one place to here. And then energy from here being echoed back on it and reverberates back. I hope I'm not like losing everyone trying to explain this. But yeah, what happens here affects the soul. The soul, where it originates, affects the body and its surroundings, the body's surroundings. And the surroundings and the body can affect the body, which reverses soul. So it's like a conduit. Now, what you put in that conduit is totally dependent on you. No one else. No one else at all. That is your connection. And if you fill it with nothing but chaos and the pain of life and anger and stuff like that, that's what's going to be reverberating. And it will reverberate and smack you right upside the head. And what I mean by this is just the way you can walk into a room and feel the energy in a room is our plane of existence reverberating back through the other plane of existence. And you can feel, whether, it's a big feeling or just a small feeling, you get those gut feelings. What's going on? Even if it's just at a subconscious level. But those reverberations have effect. Think about it like waves. You can get the waves going out and the wave coming in. But those waves will come. And it has an effect on our realm as well as that realm. Think about it as a constant recorder of your life. Your thoughts, your emotions, everything that is you is recorded and sent back. So that it's essentially pure, the amalgamation of sight, sound, video, audio, all that. Everything one as a whole. It's almost like taking a snapshot of your existence and sending it in. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Welcome. And what has an effect there has an effect here. And when you are, as we are here, we'll just call it our area of effect, our aura, however you want to say it, projects and actually it's better to say it transmits and receives. Now, what you put out in the world is what other people will get that gut feeling about when they're talking to you, or even if you just enter into the area. Hey, Jim, good to see you. And I've used this example before. You walk into a party and you know exactly where the tension in the room is, or these guys over here are obviously having a good time. Those people are just hanging out, blah, just existing at the party. These people over here are headbutting each other and getting all, rambunctious. I used rambunctious. But you walk into a place and you can tell where the different areas are. That's because everybody is transmitting and receiving. Now, if you walk in and you're just beaming and having a, you're looking forward to just an awesome party, and you're just expecting everything's going to go great, you're going to affect that whole freaking party. I mean, not if you don't circulate and get around to everybody, but if you get around to everybody, if you go to each individual group, maybe even few individual people, and spread your feeling, which is, oh, this is going to be the greatest party ever, all my favorite people are here, that type of thing, and you want that positivity, you will project that to them. And everybody will actually, if they don't even have a good time, they will remember that you had a good time and other people around you had a good time at the same time. It will leave lasting impressions. And having that positivity is very contagious. We've all heard it, we've all probably even done it yourselves. Just been in a good mood and smiled at somebody who would look like they may have been frowning or just, straight faced or whatever. And they smile back, and that heightens their level of positivity. And plus, whenever somebody smiles back at you, that heightens your positivity much more. And that person, it's more likely that person will smile at someone else or open a door for somebody or, just do an act of kindness. I mean, it can be a chain reaction in this regard. This is what we must do as a whole, as a people. Because if we do this, it would be like a wildfire. This is too soon. A wildfire in California. No fire breaks here. It will set it ablaze, and it'll be a blaze of positivity. And you will notice a difference in yourself the more you do it. I did. I mean, I've never been so positive in my life. I've always been relatively negative about most anything. You can ask the people I know. I mean, you guys knew the people I know. But basically, my sarcasm and negativity was basically known very well. And I was good at it. Still am, kind of. But I've been using more positivity in the last 5 years than I probably did in my entire life beforehand. And I've noticed a difference. Hell, if nothing else, just from the people I've been interacting with on YouTube and online in general. I try and put forth as much positivity as I can because I know it's a powerful thing. Very powerful. And the more it's done, the better off everyone will be. I guarantee it. I mean, I've talked about it before. Coast to Coast, George Norrie. He did an experiment on his show one night, back when the hurricanes were smacking into Texas and all that. He said, we're going to have like a little meditation / prayer, basically thing for all his listeners. He basically had all his listeners concentrate on one thing, and that was to turn this specific hurricane away from Texas. And that's what they did. And the next day, it was reported on the news that a specific hurricane went in a different direction. It didn't end up smacking into Texas. Another one did, but that one didn't. So, and there's been other experiments done like this that have worked. Like rituals. You notice whenever it's depicted in the movies and on TV shows and stuff like that, they always have a group of people thinking about the same thing. Same thing with going to church and everybody praying at the same time. It's power. It is power of so many souls coming together, concentrating on one thing. And if the one thing is positive, you're going to have great results. And quite frankly, if that one thing is negative, you're probably going to have some big results too. I mean, think about it. We are energy, and a bunch of people, a bunch of us together, a bunch of souls together, concentrating on one thing. Say if we manifested goodwill towards men and projected it towards world peace, that type of thing. I know there's something that in the back of my mind that's going, hey, that was tried too, and it actually worked. That's right. It was something about people concentrating on lower crime rates and stuff like that. Or maybe that was the effect of it. I'm not remembering exactly. But it worked. It damn sure worked. And just imagine if we could get, I mean, think about what's happening right now. All the propaganda that's going on, all the Karens out there, and all those type of people. They're focusing their minds. The bad people are focusing their minds on one thing, and it's freaking manifesting more bad stuff. It's almost contagious, isn't it? We can combat all this by just positivity. And that starts with, well, getting right with you and your body so that you can be a good, well, conduit for that positive energy. This is something that I kind of find it hard to explain just because it's still relatively new to me. I mean, I'm no guru or anything like that. This whenever I get up here and do a show, I'm not trying to be a spiritual leader or anything like that. Far from it. I'm not your man. I'm not that guy. But I want people to benefit from what I've done myself and my experiences. And any little bit that I can help, I want to. Hey, Cyber. Good to see you. Welcome. Cortisol. Yes. I don't think you've been in here before. At least I don't remember your name, and I'm sorry if you have been here before. But or not. I'm sorry that you let me restart that. If you have been here before and I don't remember, I apologize. But I don't recognize your name. So as far as backstory for me, I'm not any type of well, I just could do it the simple way that I always do. I'm a high school dropout that works as a janitor. So I have a lot of time to think about things and, basically do research after I'm done at my boring job. So this is all stuff that I've pretty much just put together myself. So take it with a grain of salt or listen wholeheartedly. It's up to you. As far as cortisol goes, yeah, I generally know what that is. I don't know, was that the stuff my doctor wanted to shoot into my knee? I don't remember. But yeah, generally, I guess I know it as a stress hormone. What you got on it? Yeah, go ahead and throw that up there. It says research the hormone. It is designed to trigger our body's fight or flight responses by attacking it. Okay. All right. So I was thinking of it differently. I was thinking about whatever that shot is for, basically relieving pain. But okay. Yeah, our fight or flight responses. That's actually something that I would try and get people to. Well, I still have my fight or flight, but I'd like to think that I have it under at least a little bit of control. I don't get jumpy. Nerves, they're still there. I always get a little stage fright. But there it is. Okay. Um, the fight or flight response, I've noticed, is very powerful. I mean, it drives you harshly. I remember when I was younger, uh, as a matter of fact, it was around Halloween because these older students were dressed up for Halloween. And basically, they were basically jumping out and scaring kids and tackling them and, basically, roughing them up a little bit and then running off, scaring the crap out of little kids and stuff. Well, I was one of those little kids at one point. And they jumped out and tackled me down and scared the crap out of me. I mean, and I basically, they knocked me down and I instantly jumped to my feet and just took off running. It was, I remember it weirdly vividly. And I think I ran about a quarter freaking mile before I actually stopped. They chased me a little bit. Uh, one of the guys I was with told me that one because I don't freaking remember that part. But yeah, the fight or flight response ain't no joke. Throughout time, I've learned more or less to dampen that down a little bit, I guess. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I'm, Mr. Badass with it or anything like that, because I'm not. But in trying to gain control over, emotional outbursts of my own and things of that nature, it's always been one of those things that I've known about, and it's to me, it's attached with that stage fright aspect. I know there's a connection in that because it reminds me of it whenever I get stage fright. Oh yeah, I was doing this a long time ago, and I meant to have this going already. Give me just one moment. All right, so I put it up, and then I pull the screen down here. I'll go ahead and start it first. All right, and then I pull it from the screen. Let's see, I found a way to do this before where I had it playing in the background, but I didn't have it up on screen. How did I do that? Was it this way? Yes. Okay. Excellent. You guys can still hear that out there in audience land? PTSD symptoms? Are you talking about with fight or flight response? Absolutely. I think all of that in the same realm. Like I said, I'm no scientist or anything like that, so it may or may not be. But it seems to me like that type of thing, the mental aspect of the PTSD is attached to that almost directly. At least I see it. One more thing I was going to do. I meant to actually open this up earlier. So here's the link to join me up here. To have a kickback and have a conversation. We don't have to talk about the exact stuff that I was talking about earlier. It's just a general topic, something that I had, just personal experiences, really. But there's the link. Hop on up if you want to join me. Let's see, I should do this. If I can find it. It definitely would be a good thing to research. I could always use more knowledge. Oh, damn. Gotta hit enter. I'm screwing everything up tonight. That's alright, though. I ain't a professional. Ain't no paycheck involved here. Alright, the link is out there for you guys to jump up there. I'll go ahead and go over here and pin the link. Oop. Welcome, Scrimshaw Rose. How you doing?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I figured I'd jump up and say hello.
Excellent.
I'm going to have to go back and watch Susanna later on because she's reading something I'm interested in. But,
She's always reading something good.
yeah. So, yeah, I was just thinking about that, what your friend was saying, Cybertoxin was saying about the cortisol, and I'm just wondering about the effects of cortisol on people with PTSD. If that could be something that causes PTSD reaction, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's possible, but I'd really like to research that for many reasons.
Hmm. And now it would be a good thing to know about. I mean, quite frankly, as far as PTSD goes, I mean, lots of people are getting it more and more just for simpler things. I mean, when it's real bad, like say for instance, military getting coming back into civilian life, things of that nature. It's really bad in that regard.
Sure.
But in small doses, it can be just as bad. Let's see, we got cybertoxin responding here. Something to look into is called Nocebo effect. The Nocebo effect?
Nocebo?
Nocebo?
I don't know. Never heard of it.
Which is the reverse of the placebo effect. Oh. One offers a healing from the power of the mind, other one provokes damage. Oh, nice. That's some psychological terrorism there.
That's creepy. Why don't you come up and talk about it, man? Join the StreamYard.
Everybody's
welcome. To come up.
Nocebo. Okay. Thank you. That's the way it's pronounced. Nocebo. So it's the opposite of placebo.
Huh. That's interesting. I had never heard that term before.
Yeah, that was a new one for me too. Learn this something today. Highly
That's
recommend.
Right. That's right. Yeah, there's so many people that suffer PTSD, not just veterans, but a lot of other people who've had violent attacks and stuff like that, and or suffered a lot of abuse as children, etc. So I just thought maybe to find if there's a really good link between the cortisol thing and that might be one way of helping to treat it. It's just glad you brought that up, cybertoxin. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew more about it.
The only thing I really knew about cortisol was causes stress, and that some people gain weight because of it, but I could see it possibly having another effect, like with the PTSD thing. So that's I don't know. It just hit me smack in the head when Cybertoxin was talking about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the way I've the way I've dealt with any trauma in my life is essentially, hitting it head on as much as I could. Either that or totally ignoring it, of course, because I'm not perfect.
yeah.
But all the stuff that well, for instance, doing a YouTube channel, that was one thing I had to confront. Like I was saying earlier, I had always had stage fright.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand up and give a speech and stuff like that. I would always screw up, I couldn't really do plays unless I didn't look at the audience, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then when I started playing a band, I could not be front man. I could not be up front where everybody sees me. I was the drummer,
Yeah.
and little by little, I've been confronting it by making myself do things that are outside of my comfort zone. Uh, I tell people all the time. I mean, years ago, if I went back in time and talked to my past self and told my past self that I was going to be doing a YouTube channel, I'd have probably laughed my ass off and called him a liar. And it was just not even on my radar. It wasn't until I started doing deep diving with all the politics and all that crap that I was like, I have to do something. I have to say something. And I'd like to welcome Sage News.
Hey, how's it
Welcome,
going?
Sage.
Cool.
How you doing?
Cybertoxin's gonna come up too. Hi, Sage.
Hey,
Cool.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, cool. Hey, how's it going?
Going
Pretty good.
I'm up there.
Trying to get a little positivity out there.
Yeah, I was up. I'm actually up too early today, so I saw you on. I'm like, finally, I'll jump on with them. So,
Nice. I'm glad you did.
Cool.
yeah, because you're always up at point. Pretty much, I only sleep a couple hours, and you're usually on exactly sleep. So I got up, so I haven't even listened to what you're talking about. So continue on.
It's basically as you can hear the music in the background, it's a healing frequency being basically put out there. I figure anything to boost healing, and I believe that frequency is a big part of healing. And by the name of the title I have up, essentially, I mind, body, and soul. I want to heal it all, and I want everybody to heal theirs. And this is one little way to do it.
Well, this is 528 frequency.
Yeah.
So 528 is the frequency of the heart chakra. And also you can get 528 frequency off of plants and the earth and trees and such. So that's one reason why it's nice to go out in your bare feet and walk in the grass, because the plants are like giving your body the love frequency, which is cool. So that's why it's healing. It's a frequency thing, I think. Some people call it grounding, which could be that's a little bit of a different thing, but 528 is very, very healing. It's my favorite frequency, by the way.
Yeah, I've grown to like it a lot.
Yeah, I always use it when I'm doing Reiki for people. I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I always like this music and this frequency for people when I'm working on them, because it's like thinking about and giving them unconditional love, and that heals. So that's just where I'm at. That's all.
Yeah, I was talking a little earlier about your aura and projecting and receiving energies from other people. The frequencies is basically what I'm talking about. To put it in, kind of sciencey type, situation or words. The frequencies themselves have everything has a frequency. Rocks, sand, your car, each part of the car. And when they work in harmony, your car runs well. Well, it's the same thing with the frequencies themselves. If you have a frequency that is, well, quite disrupting, I mean, hell, all you have to do is go to pop music to find some. But it has an effect. And if you produce like 28 itself, if you produce that yourself, then that's going to be contagious to others and help healing in a basically area of effect type of situation.
Well, yeah, there are frequencies that, I mean, I know they have frequency weapons that are used against people, and I think it was some kind of sound frequency that caused, what was it? Some of our, representatives that were, was it Puerto Rico or something they were at, or Cuba?
You're talking
And
about they got sick after they were hit with
yeah, one of them
yeah.
actually was deaf or something, and I believe that was a frequency weapon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
That was the first thing I thought when I heard about it.
so when you like, it's like that Dr. Emoto, I think his name is, and he works with water and crystal energy, kind of. But I mean, he can have a glass of water and just talk mean to it, and then the formation of the water and a microscope will come out really messed up. But if he talks to it nice and gives it love and plays it nice music and stuff, those water comes out looking really beautiful. And so it's really important about the frequency that you keep around you every day. And it's also very healthy to get the heck away from the news a little bit every day, even though we're all into it. And feed the good frequencies into yourself. So one way you could do that is by listening to 528. I know that helps me a lot. I'm always following news. In fact, I watch you quite often, Sage.
Oh, thank you.
Same here.
So I mean, that's one thing you can do, because I think often the inundation of all the news, which is really difficult at times these days, it's nice to get that balance of taking yourself away from it and giving yourself a break. So that's my thought on the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on in your mind, Sage?
Oh, I have tons of things going on. I did hear a little bit in regards to you not
In your mind, Sage.
public speaking per se. But
I did hear a little bit in regards to hey, Cyber, go ahead and go into your YouTube channel and mute YouTube.
Sorry.
No problem. Sorry, I interrupted you, Sage.
No, I know. I figured that. So I did hear a little bit of that, but I just want to comment on that. There was, in regards to speaking and public speaking and being that, it takes, it took me a little bit, but for me, it was something I had to be able to do because I have dysgraphia. So I have a difficult time typing and spelling and texting and doing all this because my brain doesn't connect with my hands very well. So for me, it was an overcompensation. My communication skills verbally had to be an overcompensation for my lack of skills with my typing and writing and stuff like that. So it's one of those things for me that I just was able to do that to make up for what I couldn't do. And luckily I could. But that's kind of what pushed me to do it. I had something I couldn't do, so I had to do it. And that's kind of what pushed me out into the forefront, basically saying, hey, I can do this public speaking thing. And I always have been. So
Wow.
Nice.
Sometimes it takes something that you can't do to push you into something to be able to do something better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what happened with me. And even for, as a younger guy and stuff, I wanted to be a comedian and stuff like that. But growing up, let's say I went to Catholic schools where I was like, back then they didn't know, learning disabilities and stuff. So I was like 2 grades behind in regards to my reading and writing. not because of my, me, but because that I just have a disconnect. So there'll be times when I get flustered, let's say at work or whatever, and I'll go to type and I can't remember how to spell the word the, or
Wow.
I can't
Wow.
spell the word R or R. I can't distinguish between them. Or I'll type stuff and I'll look up at the screen and I'll be like, what the heck is that? And actually what I think I'm typing is not even going on the screen. That's just that it's called dysgraphia. It's a learning disability that back then they didn't know. But so it's something that for me, I'll type and people will be like, dude, what are you, 7? I'm like, yeah, I know. Tell me about it. But it was, so I had to, going up in business and stuff, I had to learn how to be a better communicator. So being a communicator, I had to be out in the forefront talking to people and doing stuff, because if not, just typing the emails and texts and stuff like that, it's very difficult for me to do it, because like I said, even I can't even remember sometimes. I will sit here and be like, how do I spell the? And it won't come to my head, but I know the word.
Wow.
Right.
I had never heard of that particular learning disability. That's wild.
Yeah, it's called dysgraphia, and I didn't know I had it until somebody else, actually somebody from another country that I was typing, because my wife speaks various languages, basically said, "Hey, do you have dysgraphia?" 'Cause I'm a teacher, and she teaches students with learning disabilities, and I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? I have no idea." And she says, "Look this up and tell me if this is the stuff that you have a problem with." And it was, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" So it was somebody from uh, Poland that basically said, "I think you have this learning disability." So it wasn't even anybody in this country. But that's sometimes we just have to take, okay, I'm not good at this, so I need to be able to do something else. And that's just, once you're thrown into that role and you have to do it, it
Hmm.
usually starts to be something that you become better and better at.
Well,
Exactly.
that makes sense to me. I mean, that's kind of, the reason why I started doing the YouTube channel, because I originally thought I was going to try and be a writer of some sort and write all this stuff down and maybe make a book. I had tried to make a, sci-fi type book before, and I had trouble doing it. Well, I figured out I'm not really a good writer,
Yeah.
but however, I do talk very well.
Right.
I do that okay. So I basically said I do it in this manner. I mean, there's sometimes where I'd be, in chat and stuff like that, and I'd be just hanging out in chat, and I can't say what I want to say because typing to me is something new. I mean, kinda. So, and I didn't have it as bad as what you were talking about, but it was my lack of, I guess, rigor education, that was my downfall. I slept through most of my classes in high school, and then I ended up dropping out. So I didn't have a lot of the education that just normal people have, like being able to structure a story, the intro, the body, and all that.
Right.
And I didn't have those skills. I had to relearn those at a later date. But that's just my little situation. As far as that goes, I think what you described, I ran into a guy when I was in I think I was a freshman in high school. There was a guy that I was talking to, and he was describing basically, well, kind of the same thing that you were explaining to me, and I didn't understand it then, of course.
Yeah.
But
It's one of those things that for me, it started where, like, if you were to give me a box and you were to say, write your social security number in this box, and it's not separated, I can't fit it in the lines. I can't distinguish the size that needs to finish my whole social security number in this box. I can do it on the individual boxes, but if it's one box or you're like, hey, write this. So my handwriting is poor. And then what happens is it's just a connection between the brain and basically your hands and what you write. And for me, that
Who,
connection, it's slightly disconnected. I have a glitch.
Wow.
who here is familiar with the writing
Clever talk
style
to
of Albert Einstein?
The what?
The writing's
Who's
about what I
familiar with the writing style, the penmanship of Albert Einstein? Who's seen his actual writing?
No, I haven't.
I have
Well,
not.
It's terrible. It's so terrible.
Yeah, and that's what they'll say is because and then people like who can't write, who can't, and this is the same thing. Like obviously people who can't hear, their eyesight's better, their senses are better, right? Well, it's the same thing in regards to if I can't communicate in writing, my other skills for communication have basically grown stronger because I've lacked that one skill and I'm not dividing it into two. I can't. I mean, I can, but like I said, that's why I'm constantly misspelling things. But another stuff for dysgraphia that it is something to watch for, your kids growing up or whatever, stuff like that, is spelling is horrible. Like spelling, and it's not that I can do it over and over and over and over again. But if I get any pressure or if I'm flustered in any way, it's like I got no chance. Yeah, and it actually but I can say the word, like my vocabulary, like, and then even reading out loud is difficult for me, even though I do it the best I can with the channel. But I have a large vocabulary. If I'm like, hey, what's that word? And you say, okay, that's that word. Perfect. I know what that means. That I have no problem with. But trying to spell things or sound them out, it doesn't. I used to hate that. And they're like, well, look it up in the dictionary. I'm like, man, I can't even. You have no idea. Like, there's times I'll type stuff in and Google's like, what are you talking about? Please use this in a sentence. I'm like, okay. So I've had to actually put words in a sentence for Google to figure out what I want to say. But that's just an issue that I have. And it's allowed me to, like I said, other senses in regards to communication I've been able to do superior because I can't write. And the biggest thing was for me is like, I can't, it's amazing that I cannot write in a box. I can, if they're saying, fill this out or keep within this line or do that, it's like, I don't have a chance. Either I start so small that you can't see the ones, or I just can't space it out. That was the first sign. That's the first sign of if you can't. It's like my wife. My wife's like, I don't understand how you can't do that. But if that's one that if you see that you can't write within the box that they give you to put something in, that's you probably have something you should look up and see if you have the other symptoms.
Wow. Well, that's a good thing we're sharing this, because like many of us, I've never heard of it.
No, I haven't either, and I've worked with a lot of disabled kids, and I never heard of that. I actually at one point was teaching piano, and I had students with dyslexia and ADD and stuff, so it was very interesting to try to teach them, get them to focus and stuff. And but that this is a whole new thing to me. I have not heard of, but I can understand it where somebody's wiring, so to speak, is just a little different than somebody else's.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of things, I mean, maybe perhaps it would improve with practice or something, but the thing that I'm thinking is, what about using some kind of dictation machine to help you write? You could probably think it out and say it better than writing. So if you had a machine that I can't remember what they call them, but using something like that, you could write a little letter or a memo or something, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Like
that
a
now
dictation.
they have that. Yeah, dictation stuff. They have that now, but they didn't back when I was first doing this. So
Yeah,
now it's something I can do if I needed to. Like I said, most of the stuff now I can do by calling. I'm a big person for calling anyways because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page for what I do.
yeah.
But I can, and that's usually what I'll do is I'll do that now. But back then, there wasn't that. It was just off you go. So
Yeah.
that's basically the opportunity. That's all I could do. It was just pretty much, and schools didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to hear that back then. They didn't want to hear it's my fault. I'm not studying hard. I'm not
Exactly. Yeah, they didn't understand it. So
right.
obviously, I mean, they probably would have looked at you as less intelligent possibly than another kid because you didn't have that capability.
Correct.
Right.
And they see everybody as, well, this is all stuff that you can learn, and we all basically,
Excuse me.
and schooling set on that path, that normal schooling was set on that path that we're all at an equal playing field. And that playing field just has to be toned. And eventually, obviously, some people are smarter than other people and have higher IQs. But the simple playing field, they felt schools are normally taught that we're all on that same level playing field, and we're not. So that's where, like I said, now when it came to other things, I could, I don't remember the name of the test, but would leave a word out, and you'd have to tell what word would go in there. Whew, no problem. But remembering, like I said, how to spell the word "the," sometimes I can struggle with it depending on how much pressure I'm under.
Yeah.
That's my only disconnect. Other than that, pressure really doesn't, affect me. It just affects my writing and my thought process to go from my brain to typing words.
Wow.
And it's weird too once you think about it, because there's just like, how do I not know how to spell the word "the"? What is going on? And that's basically where I was at as a younger kid. So, but I knew the word, I just didn't know how to spell it or type it or write it. I just could sit there and be like, I cannot figure this out. Or simple things like, another thing is like "of" and replacing things, there and there, the ER and IR.
Yep.
Can't figure them out. "Of" is a big one. I won't be able to figure out. It's the simple ones, "of," because you don't have the F sound, so my brain can't process. You have a V sound, so my brain can't process that it's an F.
Yeah.
I know it. You know what I mean? I mean, I know how to say the word, but I can't get my brain to process. That's why sounding it out will sound it out. It doesn't work for me. I can't sound it out to spell it. I can sound it to say it, but I can't sound it out to spell it. And "of" is a big one because I won't remember how to spell "of" because I can't remember the F. The F I can't get out.
It's very interesting to hear you speak about this. I could imagine there's a whole lot of kids that have this issue and this that have not been diagnosed, because I have never heard of it. And like I said, I worked with some kids with special needs, and I wonder, just how prevalent it is, and is that why, so many kids are having problems? Because I see a lot of people have that issue with those words.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's the ones. Those are the ones that, like I said, I know the words, but the ones that that don't start a pharmacy. There'll be times I can't remember how to spell like pharmacy. Well, I can't spell pharmacy, anyways. But phone, I can't, because there'll be times if I'm flustered, I will put an F because I can't process that it's that sound sometimes. "Of" is, I know, like I said, "of" is a big one for me. And then of course trying to figure the THIER and THERE. Yeah, what? Not a chance.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I know this is going to sound a little weird, but how are you in mathematics?
Math I'm pretty good at. Actually pretty good at. I mean, we're all kind of losing a little bit of mathematical skills because of calculators, but math and understanding how to get numbers, and like algebra type style or that I'm fine at. Like if someone were to say, "Hey, how do we figure out this?" Okay, well, we have to do this and this and this. But when it comes to actually doing the numbers, I'll grab a calculator. I mean, I can do it. I mean, I understand the logic of Common Core because, to get 12, it's, I don't even know how they figure it out. Everything's in tens and fives to make it easier than -2. How do you get 10?
Yeah.
Well, 6 plus 6 minus 2. Okay. Or we can just say, 5 plus 5, 10.
Right.
It's just, I understand why they're doing that, to be honest, that math, because it's easier to know the 5, 10, 15, 20, or the 10, 20, 30s. So although I don't agree with teaching that, I understand why they do that. But I don't believe it's like teaching. Everybody doesn't need to learn the way I need to learn how to write, because everybody doesn't dysgraphia. Right. So if somebody has a problem with math, then a Common Core logic might work better for them. But to teach one Common Core, there's no need to do that, because you don't have to lower everybody to my problem. I just have to know what my problem is so I can do it my way.
Yeah, and the teachers need to learn it too, so they know how to spot it and learn what method that works best for you.
Right. One of the things eventually she's, you would be just like, hey, can you fill out this, write this information in this box? Okay, let me try. And I color in a box, but I can't write this in a box. And that's basically your brain just is not distinguishing from your brain to your fingers, can't process the glitch there.
Well, I know a person, speaking about brain disconnect, they have an issue where hearing sound or too loud a sound makes their body hurt. So it's like everybody's got their own wiring, and we're not all in this cookie cutter wiring thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Definitely not.
So, I mean, somebody with like that hypersensitive hearing thing can really be in a mess if there's a lot of loud noise. And so I just find the whole thing really interesting because everybody is so different. And, I don't even really know what that's called, but then you got people that can see colors in music and stuff, so it's like, they'll see the notes when it's played, and they'll see it all in different colors and stuff. So it's very interesting to me to see the differences in a lot of people that way. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, maybe, but that's the way I think.
I have some hypersensory issues.
Do you?
Sounds and lights.
Wow.
They get to me when they're too extreme.
Yeah.
Repetition doesn't seem to bother me too much, like a strobing light or a drum or whatever. It doesn't really bother me. But when they're extreme, even when I know it's coming, it's like getting smacked in the face.
Yeah.
When I see a big flash of light, even when I know it's coming, nothing I can do about it except not be there. I don't do 4th of July very well.
Oh, I imagine not.
Oh, wow. Now, can you be out in sunlight?
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't affect it?
No, not really.
That's interesting.
I always have sunglasses with me. I've got transition. I always pay extra for transition lenses on my glasses.
Oh, cool. So that helps then. That's great.
Yeah.
You have problems that, like, when people are cranking up their stereos and stuff like that.
Yeah. That was always unsettling for me.
Now, is it something that's like a constant, or could it be, or is it more or less like different types of sounds that are loud? Like, for instance, if it's like a metal band playing and then they all of a sudden go into like a blast beat where it's just like, then that would, heighten it, or is it still the same?
Yeah, that kind of sets me off when there's sudden changes like that. There's been no official diagnosis, but my cousin, who does work officially with cases like that, has said that she believes it's Asperger's.
Yeah. Yep. I can see that. The reason why I'm saying it is because it's somebody very close to me that's got this sound issue.
I do have a tendency to roll things over and just kind of stay in one place. And that's one reason I knew specifically what to mention to you guys when I heard what you were discussing that would take interest, or that would have you take interest and kind of further your discussion or kind of expand on it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a playlist that I made and wrote out a whole description about the cortisol and how it affects people, how it's triggered in the body, how we're not even warned about the dangers of stress on the news anymore. They're actually on the reverse side of it. I don't even really want to talk about how it messes up your healing, your body's healing properties. But it also does a number on your metabolism. I heard Scrimshaw mention earlier while I was setting up about the weight gain. That's hypercortisolism.
Yeah.
And the syndrome developed from hypercortisolism is called Cushing's.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'll have to come and have a look at your channel. You have it on a playlist on your channel.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Planned panic. And there's some other ones. I've also just made one public called the Circus of Life.
Yeah.
In the description, the first video link on there is from After School channel. And it's about the placebo versus nocebo effect.
Wow.
That's the playlist that I'm going to release with the video that I have coming for November 15th.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to dedicate it to the Lord of the Flies. And it's a poem called The Circus of Life. And I've got a picture of the dodo bird from the Alice in Wonderland to kind of represent the caucus race, how they're just all running in circles. And the dodo's standing up there telling everybody how to get dry while the tide's coming in.
So
I always try and put Alice in Wonderland overtones on what I make.
Yeah.
Or kind of an allure or whatever. But everything else that's in there is much deeper and much more down to earth than the constant thumbnail imposition of Alice in Wonderland. That's for just a mock symbolism, mockery of symbolism.
Exactly. Yep.
Because we know how they like their symbols in there.
Oh yeah.
Well, basically, a lot of the things in Alice in Wonderland had political undertones in it too. But your channel name is Cybertoxin, like your name here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm gonna look it up.
I got the link in the chat now.
Oh, you do? I don't see it yet.
Yeah, give it a sec.
Okay, thank you.
But when I release the video on the 15th, I'm going to have, like I do in all my other videos, in the description, it's a bunch of historical events that happened on that month, on that day, but throughout all the different years in history. And people can't really debate it because it's just short and they can't take my video down for just mentioning things that happened. But so many of these things mentioned kind of rhyme with the things that we're seeing nowadays.
Patterns.
Patterns or parallels or something like that. Yeah.
And I'm just going to spend a year doing it, one every month on the 15th, because that date it seems to be used very heavily in the political world for some reason.
That's interesting. I never really put that together.
I also found out doing the research for events, I don't really have enough room in the description, but there were also a whole lot of broadcasts and radio stations and things that launched on the 15th of certain months. I think the majority of them were in like September. I think that's where I found most of them when I was looking up events on September 15th. Throughout a course of about 10 years, 20 years.
Wow.
But I don't really know how it relates to other days because I've not done that with other days.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
I've just been doing it since May on the 15th.
Well, that's cool. I'm definitely going to have a look at that. I just subscribed to your channel so I can have it there to look at. That's great. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, that cortisol, it does a number on your body. It does a number on your mind.
Yeah.
It'll mess with your metabolism, your immune system, and other things. That the video that is in the playlist, the Circus of Life, and it's kind of all mixed together right now. I haven't opened it up or released that video yet, but that's the playlist that's going to go with it. And the link that I was going to drop in the live chat is that one called Living in Survival versus Living in Creation.
Mm-hmm.
And it explains the placebo versus the nocebo effect. It talks about the cortisol in the body and other things.
That's very interesting. Thanks for telling us about it. That's awesome.
And anything else that you want to look at, my videos are kind of short, but there's about 2 hours worth of watching that is in everything that I upload, in the description, in the playlist, in the live chat links.
Nice. Very interesting.
It's all brain food. I'm just now getting into solutions. I started out, the first one is just a little kind of mock of a Disney song or Disney tune or whatever. I dedicated the video to Chrissy Teigen. I got a dislike for that. But when I go to review it, it's kind of focused on like gaslighting and cancel culture and fascination. And
yeah, I actually have to.
I started out pointing at problems, and then where the problems lie, I went through the ethos, pathos, logos, mythos.
Yeah.
And I figured out right at the end, before I made the one in October, that I had to put logos and mythos together, which is why I couldn't figure out what the hell to do with an upload, talking about how logic is manipulated, because it's solid. It doesn't move. It doesn't change. It can be covered.
Yeah.
So what is that? Well, that's mythology. Not necessarily myth itself, but mythology. When it tries to take its place, or when it tries to overpower the tree that supports it. And I threw a line in there: as vines live unforsaken by, yet live to spite the tree, so unto logos is the mythos as mythology. We have to keep things trimmed. Can't just let whatever go unattended.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you thought it compared to what's going on today, and you're trimming of the tree or pruning of the tree seems to make a lot of sense with that.
Yeah.
Well, when someone is convinced that their opinion has authority, then they have to admit that everyone else with an opinion, which is everybody else, also has authority. So they're a threat. And then we get a culture war because everybody has their opinion, and suddenly opinions just have this kind of authority, and it's just out of control when the truth is what it is, regardless of how someone sees it.
Well put.
You know,
Because people can lie. People can even lie about their feelings. People can lie about their feelings to blend into a crowd or to incite one.
Absolutely.
so
And sometimes people do that.
do you think that this has anything to do with, I don't know, like the Matrix or time warping, or I'm not even sure exactly how I want to put this, but even maybe cognitive dissonance? I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, there's plenty of cognitive dissonance.
Well,
Plenty of that. Some people don't care where the steak came from. It just tastes like a steak. They're tired of tasty wheat. They don't even want to know about tasty wheat.
Yep.
Right.
Don't want to even be
Like, why'd you
confronted
wake
with
me
any
up?
aspect of it. They will
Say,
fight to the death to defend it.
Sage was gonna say something. Sage, do you remember what you were gonna say?
No, I know. I think I was going to mention when he said the cancer culture. I had to do a video. That's actually why I'm up early, because of a comment that somebody said with some of the stuff that's out there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to respond to this one, but it was the same type of mindset in regards to cancer culture and CRT and all the woke and unwoke and all this other stuff, and it was just, to me, it's extremely simple, and I'm just gonna I'm probably gonna send it to the podcast because it ain't gonna be YouTube friendly. Not that I'm gonna
Yeah.
stuff, but it's definitely not gonna be YouTube friendly.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those that it's all the same in regards to the cancer culture, the woke, the CRT. It's all the same, and you can kind of see what they're actually going after, and it's described best in regards into and I'm going to mention this in the thing is you guys see Men in Black. Do you remember Men in Black at all? Probably. I know I'm old.
Yeah.
Men in
I
Black.
love it.
Jay and Kay were sitting on there. Will Smith and I can't remember the other guy's name. We're sitting on the park bench, and Will Smith says, why can't we just tell people? Why can't we just tell people about, the aliens and stuff? People are smart. And Jay Bates comes back and says, no, people are dumb. People are dumb. A person is smart. And that's pretty much what they're doing. They're not afraid of we the people. They're afraid of we the person. And when we the person steps up, that's actually what is more scary than we the people. And I did a video in regards to Pete Buttigieg basically said that bridges and roads were built to separate blacks and whites, right? They were racist, and the people building them. And that's just not true. Bridges were not designed. Usually, were not designed for the cars underneath them. When they're built, they are specifically built to handle the weight of what's going over the top of the bridge.
Right.
So there has to be a specific angle and a specific arch to maintain weight, because that arch is what allows weight to be distributed on over something, right? Arch is the strongest thing. So you can't have it too high of an angle, and you can't have it not enough, or the arch won't hold. And so their main concern wasn't, well, can we fit a truck underneath this bridge or a bus underneath this bridge? It was, can we at least have a car go underneath this bridge, right? So his statement was, bridges were built to keep buses with blacks and Latinos from getting to the beach. And I replied back, I did a video saying, no, that's not the case. And somebody replied back and basically said that I'm a little bit too unwoke. And I'm going to light him up in my own special way, because that it opened a door on something I wanted to talk to that I didn't technically give myself permission to talk about, but I now have permission. So
there you go.
And it's basically, the gist of it is the fact that we as a society, we're all separated by one thing. And the separation that actually makes us is our motivation to become something, right? A motivation that allows us to get educated, our critical thinking, and our intelligence is actually what makes us different than everybody else. So
absolutely.
The fact that he said that, well, these guys, blacks and Latinos couldn't get to the beach because of the bridge. Well, the difference between woke people and unwoke people is I will get off the bus and walk to the beach if I really want to get to the beach. The fact that because the bus won't take you right to the beach, the fact that you can't find another way to the beach, that you will sit on the bus until the bus takes you to the beach, is the difference between me and you. And that's the difference. The problem I have with this whole woke thing is the fact that you have to have the bus take you. Well, people like me will get off the bus and will either get a skateboard, roller skates, bicycle, unicycle. I don't care, but I'm getting to that beach. And that's what they don't want. They want you to be able to blame the bridge, blame the architect, blame the engineer, but don't blame the fact that you won't get off the bus to go to the beach.
Point your finger everywhere but at yourself.
Correct. And what they're actually trying to get rid of is intellectual property, education, motivation, and IQ and intelligence. And this is absolutely proven because even when it comes to the YouTube, right? The YouTube space has gotten to the point where everything should be free, right? We can't charge for our information on YouTube. You're not allowed to charge for your intelligence anymore. If you're smart, you should give it for free. Schools should be free. You need to give your intelligence to me for free. So they're basically making it where intelligence, education is not worth anything anymore.
All those things that you mentioned lead to purpose.
Correct. But it also
purpose is the antithesis to depression.
Correct. And what is another thing for depression? Lack of motivation. So they give you lack of motivation, and then they say, here's a pill to fix that. You're depressed. And that's the problem that I have with this. And it's like, hey, you're going to take all this away, and you're going to tell me that my critical thinking, my education, my knowledge, my experience is worth nothing. I'm supposed to give it for free. Now, I have the right to choose to give it for free, but I shouldn't be forced to give it for free, right?
Exactly.
And this is the state. I see the stuff on YouTube where people are, like, well, you have a membership. I don't ask you to join. If you find my information useful, if you find my articulation useful, if you enjoy being here, if it's something that I've given you any benefit or you've, from this, then go ahead and click the membership. Go ahead and send me. I'm actually saying if I have to perform and give you something that you felt worth something for you to pay me, and that's still not good enough. And this is where I see the true problem is that with the woke society, with all this, they're leaving you on the bus, and they don't want you to find a way to get off the bus. They want you to stay on the bus, and we'll take you to the beach, or we'll take you wherever we want to take you. But we don't want you getting there without us. And that is where we the people are different than we the person, because we the people, that's not scary. To be honest, if I'm government, we the people is not a scary thing, because without leadership, without someone to guide we the people, I'm good. You guys will run around in circles. It's when we, the person, actually step up and go and win a seat in New Jersey as a truck driver with $153. That's scary. Trump, like it or not, I'm sorry, Mr. T, like it or not, good for the country or not, scared them not because of what he did, is because anybody they basically proved that technically anyone could win. It doesn't have to be a politician. It doesn't have to be that. So if you like him or don't like him, the fact that he won the presidency without being a career politician, that's scary, right? That's the actual fear. The truck driver in New Jersey with $153 winning and beating somebody that's been there, that's scary to them. Not we the people. Because we the people will all sit and just, do our thing and we won't actually step up. And to me, if you want to start saying that it's the bridge, it's the architect, it's that, then you've already lost. You're going to stay on that bus. And originally, the civil revolution in regards to slavery and things, and not slavery, but civil rights, was fought by somebody not moving to the back of the bus. Well, the issue is now the fight is getting off the bus. That's where the person. So to me, it was the perfect metaphor for me to say, okay, you want me to really release? I'm going to light you up. Because all of these excuses and all of these problems, if education or money can fix it, it's not a problem. Okay? And this is where people don't understand that you have to get off the bus. And this is where I have my frustration part, is because I see a lot of foreigners that will come into the country, right, and get educated. I know Koreans. I know my doctor is not from this country. My wife's doctor is not from this country. So all of these people were able to come here with a small opportunity to become something, and they did it. Why? Because they had motivation, and they had to. Their motivation was to do it. Originally, I asked a question, and I was actually scared because somebody who I thought was, actually a couple people that I thought that were pretty educated people, I said, hey, can you tell me what the American dream is? And say I wasn't from this country, can you tell me or describe to me the American dream? And their answer was, the picket fence, the house, the 401k, the insurance, the 2 kids. And I said, that's not the American dream. The American dream is the fact that I can do whatever I want to the extent of my knowledge and ability in this country. I don't have to be what you want me to be. I can be what I want to be.
As long as it doesn't infringe on someone else.
Correct. As long as it doesn't infringe on someone else. So if I want to be a doctor, I can go to school to be a doctor. If I want to be a lawyer, I can go to school to be a lawyer. I'm not told what my job's going to be. If I just want to be a warehouse worker, I can be a warehouse worker. If I want to own the warehouse, I can own a warehouse. That's the American dream. And that's being forgotten. And when I ask people what it is, and try asking people, obviously not here because they know the answer. Try asking people, hey, if I wasn't from this country, tell me what the American dream is. Describe to me the American dream, and see what their response is. And I see a true correlation with age in regards to what the American dream is. And that's being pushed out the door. And this is something that is a major problem, because with that comes in that stay on the bus. Don't get off the bus because the bridge is in the way.
Yeah.
Don't get off the bus to get to the beach. Don't find another way. You can't get there because the bridge is too low. And that mindset keeps people arguing over woke and unwoke, when basically the whole goal is to get rid of the individual's intelligence, motivation, and critical thinking, because they're not afraid of the people. They're afraid of the individual.
I'd like to take that just a step further, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You said they're not afraid of the people.
Correct.
Which is right. I see that as the mass public. But the individual, for your individual. But now take it back to we the people. If all of we the people stood up as individuals, we are unstoppable.
Correct. And that's what they don't want. And the thing is, that's That's what they don't want. They want us all on the bus. They don't want us all to get off the bus together. They want us all on the bus as we the people, because we're going
staring at our phones.
Right, because we're going nowhere. There's a bridge. We're going nowhere. And a lot of people will just sit on the bus and be like, oh, shit, I guess I can't go to the beach today. Well, it takes people to get off that bus and say, I'm going to walk. I'm going to go to the beach today. I'm going. But it's that mindset that the bridge is stopping you. The architect's stopping you. The contractor's stopping you. No, you're stopping you. Get off the bus and go to the beach. Find another way.
Yep.
And that is what we're truly getting rid of. And this is where critical race theory and all this other stuff basically is saying it's not you. It is you. If you want to be a doctor, you will have to learn. If you want to be, you will have to. If you want to be a computer programmer, you will have to learn how to do that. At some point, you can't be taught. You can't be taught. You have to go out and get the information that you want to do that. And that's just not what the critical race theory teaches. It's all based. And I ask the same question. And I don't expect you guys to know. If you might Google it after this. Anybody that they're like, well, I'll debate critical race theory. I'm like, perfect. Let's debate critical race theory. Let's start here, though. My first question to you, and don't look it up. Let me know if you know. How many races are there?
I know the answer.
Don't say it. Anybody else know?
Hey, type in chat if you know how many races there are.
Oh, that's right. Oh, wrong mouse. Don't look it up. But this is my first argument. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, if we're going to argue critical race theory, shouldn't we know how many races there are?
Yeah.
To argue critical race theory. And of course, it fluctuates a little bit, but you can get the basic gist of the number. All right, Bex, go ahead.
Well, I'll go ahead and say Rebel Jack came up with the answer. There is one, the human race.
Correct. Now, one more. According to, even now I want you to say, according to the census, how many races are there?
Oh, very many. Very, very many. I couldn't give you a number.
I want you to Google it.
I'm not Googling anything, but I will look it up.
Hold on, I'll Google it right now. Okay,
I don't use Google.
It's actually a lot smaller number than you think. A lot. Wow, I say Google, but yeah, you can.
Oh, I didn't even type in. I'm working on it. I'll have to do it again. Why isn't this typing? That's weird. My computer will not let me type. It will not let me backspace.
Depending on what you consider, some people, it should be like 4, 5, or 6 in that area.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but
All right. What I got here. Whoop. I got the page. I hit another button. All right. What I have here is, according to, what is it, bikehike.org, how many races are there in the world? There are, the world's population can be divided into 4 major races, namely white, Caucasian, Mongoloid, Asian, Negro, or black. And I've never heard of this one, Australoid.
Yeah. Yep. When I normally say it, people say the same thing. Oh, there's got to be hundreds. No, there's 4. 4. Some people say 5 because they've added, another one.
oh yeah, it says here. What are the 5 race groups on the census?
Right. That's what I base it on, because that's in my, when I say this, I'm going to say let's go with what the government says. Right. Let's go with what the government, this government at least, because if
we have
we'll go with that.
White, black, African American, American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, and Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander.
Yeah.
That's what it is, according to them.
Right. And then I say, so like I say, so I'll say, all right, because And when they can't answer, I say, well, how do you want to argue critical race theory if you don't know how many races there are? Shouldn't we start there? And it's not me being a jerk. It's basically saying, look, if you're going to argue a theory in regards to a race, then you should know how many races there are. Well, that's not all we're talking about is white and black. Well, that's not all the races. So what do we? So tell me you're not trying. So you don't know how many races there are. You only want to argue about 2. So basically, you're forcing it to be one against another because you're leaving all the other ones out. So let's be honest with what this is, then. But don't tell me it's not that when you don't even know how many races. And then, so that's some of the stuff that I'm like, okay, this is all the same. It's all about that taking away education, taking away knowledge, taking away IQ levels, and taking away determination, critical thinking and determination. Basically saying anything that has to do with your mind is no longer worth anything. We don't want you to be motivated to try to use your head anymore. We don't want you to have critical thinking. We don't want you to have this process. And that, in my opinion, of course, is what this is all based on.
It's one hell of a theory to go on, and a lot of it proves and rings just outright true. I mean, all these, anything that, well, think about our government structure as it sits right now. One against another, Republican versus Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not supposed to add in the fact that it's Republican versus Democrat versus those two versus us.
Correct.
But it has been apparent that the more, well, you can see it in the cities as a model. One group is pit against another group, and those groups are pitted against another group, and everybody's pitted. Everybody goes into their own tribes, and each tribe is warring with each other. This is what they want. They want all the strife. They want all the hatred to just flow through us. And this is attaches to what I was saying earlier. And the more good vibes we can put out, the more we can stamp this shit out. Because I do believe in frequencies and the effects that it has on people and the effects that people have on people.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing. Like, we all obviously birds of a feather, right? It's birds of a feather. Now, I do believe it's about survival, right? It's a laws of probability, right? I'm vegan. Okay. I've been vegan for 15 years.
I'm sorry.
No, I know. I don't trust me, but I'm vegan. So, but I feed the deer, right? We feed the deer not every day, but every other day. My wife, we go out and we dump a bucket of food out there, and we've got little troughs, but they're on our property. Those deer still run away from me. Why? I'm vegan. I'm feeding them. Why would they run after 8 years? Because it's survival. We're not of their species, and they don't feel safe around us. So we as people, like it or not, our first instinct is survival, and you have to allow that to be okay. This is safe. I'm not going to get killed here. I mean, I'm talking back caveman days, right? At some point, you'd be like, "Hey, this is safe," and then they might run into, let's say, other tribes that they didn't know. They didn't just walk right in. They had to find out if they were safe, right? It's that survival thing back even when you're caveman days. It's almost impossible to throw that out completely. It's naturally built into our system, right? You can't. So some people it's more than others, and some people it's less than others. And some people will kids, it's usually just like normally a small animal will wander right into problems, and they don't, no, don't go there. That's not safe to go next to that cliff. Don't go there. Don't touch this hot stove. Don't do this. And they're taught this stuff to survive. You will fall and die if you get too close to the cliff. If you run out in traffic for the ball, you will die. But we teach that survival. It's taught. It's an instinct. It's something where, we taught. So when you don't know something, you don't feel comfortable something, you have to slowly integrate to that to feel comfortable. So, and I'm not being racist, but it's just normal, those things that if a caveman's never seen any other tribe, and then all of a sudden another tribe comes up, he's going to be cautious. Right?
Absolutely.
And he has the right to be, and then slowly integrates. And like I said, I went to Buffalo Public Schools. I was an 80% all black school. So it was something that no problem. You know what I mean? But somebody who has not is going to be more cautious. And then we say they're racist. And now there are people that absolutely 100% are racist, 100%. But not everybody is. And they want to categorize everybody as that. And they're not. It's not. But we don't want to say that. And people are going to disagree with me with this. But it's just like, I'm just being honest with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's, like I said, are there absolutely some people that aren't? But there are a lot of people who aren't that just want to be more cautious because they're unaware, they don't know, and it's just the way it is. And they have that right to be. But until they're comfortable, but we don't. We tell them that you have to be comfortable. And then they get more uncomfortable because they're told they have to be comfortable. It's just the way some people are. My wife doesn't like going outside. She's not comfortable going out in large spaces. Agoraphobia. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the space. It's just that's how she doesn't like it. She doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Her instinct on that is more overpowering than the feeling of being safe in that situation. And it's one of those things that in time you may or may not. And people don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my basic opinion of that is that's what most people are. You know what I mean? Oh, you get all these people end up, you're all racist because I'm like, well, how am I racist? Explain to me how I'm racist. Well, because you think what? I think that it's not based on race. It should be based on education and IQ levels, because that's what actually gets us out of poverty. And that's what they don't tell you. What actually gets you out of poverty is your IQ level and your critical thinking and your ability to articulate that into the job in which you do. Right? If I can do it better than you, you're going to pay more money for me than you are somebody who can't do what I can do. And that knowledge should be pushed more than sitting on the bus because there's a bridge in the way. It should be the people who should actually be incentivized are the people who get off the bus and still get to the beach, not the ones who stay on the bus waiting for the bus to figure out how to get underneath the bridge. And we're not doing.
Unfortunately, a lot of people nowadays don't have don't even come close to having that type of thinking in their head. So they don't know that there's an actual door they could use their legs and just walk right off.
Correct. And that's the problem. They will just sit on the bus waiting for the bus to move, to take them where they need to go. And the people that have built businesses, the people that have actually, achieved things and built their own companies and have people are the ones that got off the bus. And they're hiring the ones sitting on the bus. Because that's just how it works. Anybody can start a business. Anybody can get an LLC and start a business. I interviewed a 19-year-old kid that's probably going to make $1 million this year, gross, picking up trash and scrap metal, who has 4 employees, W-2 employees working for him, and like 5 trucks.
Awesome.
And he's 19.
Yeah.
He got off.
Yeah, I remember that show.
He got off the bus.
That's amazing.
And what, so the problem is, and it's like, why aren't you here? And that's the thing that, people will say, well, you got that because of this and because of that. And it's like, no, I got it because I got off the bus. Why aren't you with me? Why aren't you here with me? It's not my problem you're not here with me. It's yours. You got to get off the bus. Hmm. But it's a perfect example that's, this is the woke thing. So I'm just going to do a podcast video basically saying this, which I just recorded this. But it should have been, it's one of those things that's what people need to do. You need to, the education, and I see it all the time on YouTube. YouTube will, he's a grifter. He's taking money for giving out information that anybody can find. Well, information is free. How you obtain the information is not. right? You can look, you can look up anything a teacher can teach you, but the fact that they're taking their time out to teach you isn't free, right? Go find it yourself. No one's stopping you from finding it yourself. But you have to take the time to do that. So either you pay attention or you pay for attention. It's one or the other. And that's basically what people don't seem to want to admit.
It's really weird. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize they can go into business so young as that young man. And a lot of people just don't see that they just have to, do something and get a job where, they could start a business. And, and where that young man developed a business, which is, a useful business. And, of course he's going to make good money. And, I had a friend who started a book company when I was young, and he's very, very, very wealthy now. And, I think he was selling Christian books and stuff. And, there was a great big, how can I say, need for that. People were into that at that time. And so he did very, very well. It started very small at his parents' home and then expanded. He kept having to move to a bigger warehouse and such. He since sold the business, but he started it when he was in high school. And how brilliant would that be? But I mean, a lot of high school kids or people that age have no clue about starting a business or even going into the trades. I mean, people that are into the trades can make some big money.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's strange, but I think that the whole focus on education in this country right now, especially in the public schools, I don't want to criticize public schools, but I mean, it's to the point where they're not being taught how to write properly. It's acceptable for them to print. And so I'm thinking, well, what is stirring their brains? I know teachers who've tried to teach kids math and they really have no interest in learning math. And they cut up in school and it really, is hard on the other kids. And then you've got all these programs for kids that have, a little bit more propensity to learn, like, a little bit more specialized classes, and now they're cutting them all. So, if you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that, and you don't have any classes in your school to forward a higher type of learning, then what, where are you at? Yeah, I mean, it's just all going to be dumbed down even more than we're dumbed down. It's like,
Right.
we need to be teaching all our kids critical thinking. We need to tell them that it's possible for all of them to start a business or all of them to do something they want. They feel like, I feel like a lot of people feel like they can't do something.
Right.
It's just weird. I mean, that's just the way I perceive it. And, but they can. And so you gotta stand beside them in that, and my father always used to tell me, well, you can be president when you grow up, and it's like, how many parents tell that to their kids? Anybody can be president. You can be president when you grow up. And I've never heard anybody say it else other than my father than you.
Right.
I can guarantee you that I never once heard that.
Pardon?
It was something that, like I said, we were told. I mean, you could be. Let's just say I wouldn't want to be. But you could. You absolutely could. You could run for different, things. You could do this. You could do that. And it was up to you. What can you do? What can you bring to the table? What can you offer somebody? And at that point, that's better than somebody else. And we no longer do that. It's the fact that it's like, well, you can't be better. We all have to be equal, but we're not.
Yeah, well, it's all like cookie cutter education,
Right.
and
Well,
if you don't fall in line, or your method of learning is different and they don't understand you, then it's always got to be cookie cutter.
Right.
And if you don't fall in that place, then they label you as maybe not as intelligent, or if you can't sit still, then you're a bad kid. It's not the point that you can't sit still. It's very weird. There's no creative thinking, and teaching, I think, is less creative too, because they're just putting everybody in these cookie cutter boxes.
Right. They have,
yeah.
what the heck is it called? Certain things they have to teach that the teachers are given, here's your teaching schedule or whatever it's called. Somebody help me out. God, I'm tip my tongue. Anyways, it's that, lesson plans. Here's your lesson plan, right?
Yeah.
This is what you'll have to teach, and then go ahead and then that's all they give them.
Well, it's interesting too, because here in the little town I live in, like my sister's kid, who's like considerably older than my children, had the same exact projects as my children had.
Yeah.
When they went to school. It's like the curriculum never changed.
Correct.
Nothing ever grew. Everything was all stuck in one spot.
Correct.
It was really bizarre.
Yeah.
Our education is set up. Well, I can think of it as socialist. Want drones to come out of graduate. You are given a list of things you were supposed to memorize and keep in your mind, and then when you have demonstrated that you have remembered the things that we have told you to remember, then we give you a little piece of paper and tell you to go get a corporate job.
Right. Absolutely.
They want people to essentially do and not question. And anybody that questions is deemed a risk to them and how they do. Hey, Blue-Eyed Panther, good to see you. But it's robotics factory. They want you to think outside the box. They don't want you to be anywhere near the corners of the box. They want you to stay right in the middle and be a little drone so that they can tell you what to think. This is what our public school system and other schools, that public schools, just how you guys were just talking about. They don't want any individuality in it. The more individual we are, the less they like it. This is what I do on the show, talk about several different topics, because I want everyone to think outside their box. I want somebody to consider a different point of view. I want to consider a different point of view that somebody else may have that I don't. I want to know as much as possible. So that way, the more I know, the more I can teach to others. And that's all I want to do, really.
Cool. What do you think, Cybertoxin?
I think that in relation to the Matrix, I should say that the box, the mere existence of the box, is subjective. There is no box.
That's right.
Correct.
Unless you take one that they give you, and then you have an option whether to put it over your head and think inside of it, or not put it on your head and think outside of it, but you've still accepted the box into your life.
Correct.
And
whereas before,
sorry,
it didn't even exist.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Makes perfect sense. And some people don't even know there's anywhere else but box elves. So they're the box. Can you imagine what kind of hell that would be?
Yes. They're on the bus.
A rather literal one.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna I can jump off here so I can do a couple things. If you're still on, I'll swing back on. If not, if I'm ever up, I'll jump back on the show again.
Nice
Right
to
on.
have you here, Sage.
You have open invitation, brother.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. I'll see you. It was nice seeing everybody, and I'll check you guys out later. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care, man.
Pleasure to be here with you.
Critical race theory is one of those things that just doesn't make sense. And you can tell how much it doesn't make sense by how much they're trying to rationalize it making sense. And it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It really is. And they're just trying to rationalize their way through all this stuff and bully the mass population into doing what they say because, they call each other experts. That's ridiculous too. Just because you say you're an expert, just because you say something doesn't make it true. And this is exactly what we're dealing with right now. And this is exactly the way the public school systems have been run. Straight into the dirt. My advice real quick would be get your kids out of the public school system. I mean, do whatever's necessary, but, well, it sounds kind of cheesy to say, but children are their future. Go ahead.
For sure. I'm just interested in more what Cybertoxin has to say.
Yeah.
About what?
About everything. I like the way you're thinking. What do you think of critical race theory?
I think that it's a theory that is firmly based on conspiratorial behaviors, and people either don't have the gall or the insight to call it a conspiracy theory.
Well, I've never thought of it that way.
But the people that preach it like to call everybody else's concern a conspiracy theory.
Well, yeah.
It's just more of that egocentric behavior. Gaslighters use it all the time.
That's true.
They want to project what's going on as if someone else is doing it before anybody points at them. And the best person that you can cast blame on in a lie, of course, is going to be your opponent. And that turns something from being a competition into an adversarial contest. And once again, the result of that is a culture war.
Absolutely. Well, the more chaos they can create between, like the supposed races, the more it keeps them in control. Because, quite frankly, if you got all this distraction, then you don't really see what's going on behind the, you see the shiny thing in the right hand, but the left hand's drawing the dagger.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing it basically drawing this dagger on us, and they're slicing us up, and we're still looking at this shiny thing in their hand, and that attaches to the political situation that we're going through. I mean, everything that we're seeing is pretty much political theater. Hey, Veritas, good to see you. But it's all meant to distract us from what's really going on. Now, we've had a little resurgence of people going, oh, bullshit, and wanting to do something about it with some of these parents and, going up against the school boards and stuff like that. I love that. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling just knowing that people are getting fed up with this crap finally, and they're starting to learn. I mean, I hate the lockdowns and stuff like that, but it gave parents an open eye to what their kids being taught. Now, the ones that are going along with it, they don't really care. I mean, quite frankly, I'd chalk it up to deadbeat parents. Don't really pay any attention to your kid and let them sit on a computer or video game console all day or all night, and that type of thing. Not taking an active role in teaching that child what it needs to be a functioning member of society. This is part of what's going on. The other part is essentially all the different things that go into our food, into our air, into our water, all kinds of stuff. Quite frankly, we're being attacked from all sides, and nobody is recognizing it for what it is. And the more that they can keep people looking at this shiny thing in the right hand, the more they can stab. And each stab is another one of those things that we should be paying attention to, but we're not. And I was going to go off on another tangent, so I'm going to stop.
No, keep going.
Well, I mean, all the distractions that are going on now are manufactured in for the most part, and others are targets of opportunity. Now, the targets of opportunity is all this stuff that's being flashed up on the news sources and stuff like that. Trying to get an example, but there's just so many things to choose from that I'm getting blinded by all of it. But you know what I'm talking about. With all the distractions and like you taking the targets of opportunity to be taken with every little thing. For instance, if it could be all of a sudden we heard there's was a shooting somewhere. One person was killed and another was injured, and it's flashed on the screen because violence leads. If it bleeds, it leads. That type of stuff, right? So they get this and they throw it up there, but then they start finding out more as time goes on that it was a certain race that did it. Oh well, instantly it gets buried, unless it fits the narrative, of course, and then it'll be plastered up for the next week. It's all meant to keep us engaged and keep our suspicions up, keep us not talking to each other, not it's just made to make us dumb, paying attention to all these screens instead of each other. And this is brings me back around to the beginning of the show tonight, where I was talking about taking care of yourself, figure out who you are as a person, and own it. But if you get yourself together, you can show other people how to get put together. And everybody needs to be all together. I call it balance. Or, I say balance in all things. If you can make yourself whole, it gives you a confidence. And that will teach other people. And you can use that to teach other people. Individuality, what Sage was talking about earlier. They aren't afraid of we the people unless we the people become individuals, and then individuals working together as we the people. That's all there is to it, really. All we got to do is change our way of thinking.
What do you
Positive
think?
vibes.
Cybertoxin.
He's right. And we are at that turning point right now in a bunch of different ways. The media just had one of its eyes plucked out. Some punk moves that Biden tried to use to scare people into action. Some of them have already been struck down by the Supreme Court. The polls are showing a serious shift in support, or now lack of support, not just for Biden, but other certain groups that were used to get him into office.
Mm-hmm.
Lawsuits being launched, lawsuits being won, lawsuits that people said were going to be in their favor just falling apart. A lot of narratives being lost. And when you got somebody like old Bummer up there in Virginia speaking Bidenese, you know they've run out of ideas, which means that they're just going to start doubling and tripling down on the old ones that people are already very tired of.
Yes.
It was, I think, Dan Bongino yesterday maybe was saying, I hope that they just keep pushing these things. I really do.
It's been the general consensus with Fox News in general. Everybody that I've been listening to on Fox News radio has basically been saying the same thing. I hope they never stop what they're doing, because they're just cutting their own throats. Well, it's true,
Yeah.
but still it's not, because they do have a lock on a certain group of the populace.
Yep.
And they still have the ability to put a spin on pretty much anything and generate enough of a ruckus about it.
Well, see, if Fox News and people in that realm would focus on one thing, we could defeat this. But they will never, ever. And that one thing is called the Smith-Month Act. Yeah. The Smith-Month Act basically kept the original Smith-Month Act, kept propaganda from being used against the American citizens by our government and by our news and all that stuff. Now, Obama, go figure, in 2012, made up the new Smith-Month Modernization Act, which basically allows for propaganda to be used against American people. That's what we've been dealing with.
Well, it's interesting, Vex. Yep. I use Google here and there, and I looked up the Smith-Month Modernization Act and so on and so forth. And, there's all these rebuttals about what that was actually, created for, and how it wasn't being used to propagandize the people. And, it's basically what you've got is some people are telling the truth about this stuff, and then, the reporting on certain sides, of course, is going to be incorrect. But, so they don't want the regular people to know. And even Fox, Fox is owned by leftist types of people. And so you're not going to get 100% what you want there.
Nope.
And so this is what's going on. That's why we're here. To try to, I think one of our purposes anyways is to try to bring out these things. And, it's unfortunate that you have people who have positions of great power that use that power against people, because we should be, that should is a terrible word, I guess, but it would be far better if uh, the people in power would actually work together and unite to create something good, and that is lawful and good for our people. This whole nonsense of this division, it's just not all critical race theory. It's like everything. If I talk to someone who has a Democrat perspective on things, and I say something about how I'm feeling, whether it's independent or whether it's conservative, and sometimes I do actually like some of the things the Democrats do. But if I say my opinion, they're quick to jump around and say the same thing, but it's against the other side. So this is what's going on, and it's very bizarre, to say the least. And so, you can't really trust regular news. And, I've had Democrats say to me, "Oh, you watch Fox News." And actually, I don't watch Fox News at all. I try very hard not to watch any mainstream news and try to find people that are into putting out truth. And, I guess that's objectionable these days to some people, but, you're not going to find the truth, the truth from one source. You have to look at many sources.
Yeah, you have no choice. I mean, if nothing else, you have to distill what's out there. Um, uh, I like to listen to Fox News if for nothing else than to basically hear what they're talking about and see at what level, how far behind they are. They started not too long. They started talking about getting pissed off at school boards and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, good, finally. I mean, it's a good measure of how far behind they are. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they're talking about, they're bringing up and they're presenting it like it's brand new, when actually it started like 10, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, it's old news. I mean, that's one of the things about the internet that I do like, because quite frankly, the internet is chock just full of researchers. And I don't, as much as I'd love to be Mr. Know-It-All and actually know all this stuff, I don't. So I have to go and look it up. And I can't take everything at face value.
Yeah.
But in looking it up and doing the research and stuff like that, it teaches you about, knowing what is good and what is bad and what's being presented. And you can start to recognize all the spins they put on everything. Yeah, there'll be nuggets of truth in there, but they'll have spins all around it. So it comes from a different point of view. And that different point of view is meant to confuse, obviously. And it's meant to disorient, obviously. And it's meant to essentially keep people guessing and being unsure about the parameters of their life, which creates chaos in itself. And that's why I wanted to do this broadcast tonight, is essentially say we have to change this, and we can change it. We brought up the frequencies. I believe that's part of it. Well, a huge part of it, actually. But I believe in the frequencies in us, individuals. And enough individuals that come together and put forth the same, we'll say, thought or intention. It could be a very, very powerful thing. And we can change all this. I know we can. I have no doubt in this whatsoever. All it takes is a little concentration on our part. a little concentration, and just working together. It's that simple. For instance,
Well,
if I had 200 people in here watching, and we all focused on one thing, say, I don't know, just pushing out good feelings, it would work. We'd wake up in the morning and it would be a different day, no matter where you're at.
sure. hmm I believe it would help. That's for sure. They did have done experiments with meditation and all kinds of stuff. Group meditation, group healing.
Yes.
Um, some to lower the crime rate in cities and so on and so forth. And when they keep everybody's vibes in battle central mode, or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
um, then that just does not help the situation. So if everyone's running around and thinking negative, then that's the vibe that's coming out of people, and we can't stay there. We just can't. We can't let
Right.
them win. We can't let them win. And even if people get down to pray, pray. We gotta pray for our country. We gotta send good vibes out to all our countrymen, whether we like them the hell or not. And this talk of, you know, um, perhaps getting violent is the only solution that some people put up is not the answer. Just isn't.
Yeah.
If someone comes after you, yeah, you gotta defend yourself, but what is the real answer? I mean, like cybertoxin, what do you think is the real answer?
Good night, Panther.
I don't think that there's one real answer for anybody, because that's what's actually been bringing the problem, is trying to find one answer on the outside. And there's all kinds of answers or responses or reactions to situations, but a lot of those situations are caused by reactions and responses, and people trying to fix things that they can't fix.
Okay.
It's a matter of maintenance, and people tend to try and uproot everything and spend all their time and energy trying to destroy something that they don't want, instead of just building or nurturing the thing that they do want. We would have a lot more purpose in our hearts to see ourselves succeed if we wouldn't waste so much of it watching others fail.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, you touched on the distraction element that they use, to get people's nerves shot, or to get their mind over here, or looking at this. I touched on that in one of the uploads that I made, the number 4. That's for ethos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they get in there and incept your character.
Yeah, real quick. Hey, Awesome Alice. Good to see you. Yeah, nobody gets notifications on YouTube anymore. Or at least not from my channel.
I got mine from Survival.
Right on.
He said, hey, if you're looking for a live stream to listen to.
Yeah, good dude.
I love that. I
He
love
said,
it.
you know him? I was like, I know him a little bit. I think I've been to 2 of your streams and made maybe like 3 comments.
Huh, right
Not
on.
a whole lot.
It's okay. I don't mind people just coming in and hanging. I don't mind the lurkers.
Well, I am so blown away by where your thinking is at, and I love listening to what you're saying here, Cyber Talks, and I sure hope you come back and talk some more with us. This is really awesome.
Yeah,
Would
I
you
agree.
like Would you like to play one of my uploads? I think the number 6 would be very fitting for what we've been talking about. That's
Number
my gift
6.
to technocracy and fake news.
Is it on the homepage?
Yeah.
Number 6. All right, give me just one moment.
Well, I'm very happy that you came up here, Cyber Talks, and it's been great having you on
Me
the
too.
show.
Yeah, you're always welcome back.
Well, it's nice to be appreciated.
Definitely.
I try to not spend too much time trying to get attention in other people's spaces, but I do have a whole lot to say.
Well,
Absolutely.
keep saying it. Keep saying it.
The
Please
the
keep
hardest
coming
thing
back.
about that, though, is I'm typically a man of few words.
Yeah, I thought I was
So
too. That changed.
I like to compress ideas, but I've realized that once they've been compressed, if I don't record some type of format of that compressed thought, it can all just disappear. But if I can record that, then I can expand on it later. And that's what I plan to do with all my uploads and the videos that are in the playlists and all that next year.
Cool.
I'm gonna do like a review every month of things that I had already done. I feel
Nice.
comfortable doing that. I'm not too adventurous.
I'm going to mute out back so that StreamYard can be heard better.
Right on. Real quick, also says, have you all ever read the Capitalist Manifesto? I have not read it, but I've heard of it, and that's actually on my list.
I've never read that.
But let me go ahead and show you guys some cyber toxin. Let me go ahead and volume it.
Beyond belief in what we knew, for now believing what is shown, showing what would be believed, should it be seen as if it's known. Mirror, magic mirror, tell vision what to see. Share with me reflection of the things I'd like to be. For the grandiose projection of reality. Meanwhile, behind the curtain grows an artificial symphony. Mirror sky, from sea to sea. Show me what you'll have me know, and leave the questions up to me. Ever learning, but never able to find the knowledge of truth. Discerning fact from fable, but believing only evidence as proof. Gridlocked and entwined in this ill-fated symphony. So unto Logos is the mythos as mythology. As vines live unforsaken by, yet live despite the tree. As wind upon the sands of time, fleeting and displacing history. As knowledge of truth inherent, ignored, creating mystery. And so we know importance of what we must not forget. As world turns, the lesson is learned by how we would remember it.
Nice. I don't know if you guys know you might be muted, so
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. Wow.
yeah, I like that. Definitely going to be checking out the rest of your stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and throw your link out in chat again.
I could tell the media's kind of been losing its grip.
Oh yeah. They're
So
losing their
I
shit.
figured I would add like a television effect.
That's cool. You did a great job with that video.
Yeah, I like it. Short, sweet, and to the point. And with a little poetic flair.
Yeah.
All right. There is Cybertoxin's link. Go on over there and do some subbing.
Some subbing.
And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start shutting her down, ladies and gentlemen. We got one more up here, so I'll give it a few more minutes. Who we got here?
Is Alice coming up?
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, it looks that way. There you go. Welcome.
Cyber, have you made one about the Mad Hatter and the tea? Like, giving a new twist of when Alice drinks the tea and wakes up and it's not dystopia anymore? It'd be like kind of like what people talk about the red pill. Like, what if the red pill was that tea?
It wasn't the tea.
No, I'm just saying, like, have you thought about like putting a twist on the idea that if she actually drank the tea? Because in the story, he doesn't let her drink the tea.
And she never gets a drink. No.
So what if he lets her drink?
Well, then it would end up like Tom Petty's video, and she'd just start seeing weird shit, and his hat would get even bigger.
What if it was the truth serum? Well, what if it was the truth serum? Think about it. Like, put a twist.
Well, the state of mind that Alice was in to end up in Wonderland, I think a truth serum might just kind of put her into a coma. She was in a very rebellious state of mind.
It could be. Well, what about if, like, she drank the tea and then the world just shifted and she could see them for who they were instead of being so confused?
Like those They Live glasses.
They live in Wonderland.
Yeah, you're getting the point, Bex. Like, yeah, dude. What if the tea was the glasses from They Lived?
Night of the Woke and Live in Wonderland.
Yeah, you know, instead of Alice in Wonderland, you could do Cyber in Wokeland. You know, you could start making your own character. Yeah.
That is cool.
Because I was thinking about doing a comic book about, you know, because my name's Alice. So I was like, well, maybe Alice needs to leave Wonderland and go to Wokeland. And the people that's supposed to save me are the people that are like patriots, and they got a whole tunnel. Like, I could visualize, you know. But what were you talking about? Mind, body, and spirit. Like, I see the title. What was the topic?
Originally, it was mainly about trying to get people to focus on themselves and making themselves, you know, whole through mind, body, and spirit. I personally was conveying my experience of my body. I was overweight, lethargic, no motivation, kind of dim-witted, actually. And I started learning about supplements and stuff like that, and started, you know, doing research on essentially, how our bodies need different minerals and vitamins to, function properly. Well, that made sense to me. So I started researching stuff like, well, if I'm acting like this, what would I need to counterbalance that, according to, well, one of the things that I started dealing with was blood pressure. I had high blood pressure. And I started finding out about berries and different things that, help with your blood pressure and stuff like that.
Cherries.
Yeah, exactly. And that led me into iodine. Iodine was one of those things that I was lacking. And quite frankly, most everybody is lacking iodine. I highly recommend everyone get iodine. Please, please give it to your children. And if you're pregnant, take iodine. Yes, grapefruit. That's a good one.
I'm gonna read you something out of the because I just got this book. What I've been doing is like cross-referencing the Communist Manifesto and the Capitalist Manifesto. Do you know that there's 5 things that I noticed is the difference in the ideologies? In the books, if you line them up. For one, in communism, you group think. In capitalism, you individually think. In communism, you have no religion. The religion you do have is the government is God. In capitalism, you're allowed to have your own individual belief. Another thing, in capitalism, you can have private property. In communism, you have public property. And another thing, it says it right here, okay, when it talks about the nature of good, of this good, there's a part, it says an organism's life is its standard of value. That which furthers its life is the good. That which threatens is its evil. Says this is a revolutionary identification that has finally, after 2,500 years of history of philosophy, tied values, and by that means ethics, to facts. Morality is now a science, a field of objection, rational, fact-based analysis. It is no longer a matter of will or whim or desire, whether social or personal. That's interesting. It says no organism can choose the necessities of its survival. These are determined by reality, by an organism's nature, by the essence of the kind of being that it is. Deep, huh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
it makes a lot of sense.
So basically, where we have failed as a society and where communism fails is it takes out the natural order, which is family. Family is the natural order of things. Without families, you have no community, you have nothing. You just have a collective.
It sounds like you're describing common law, God's law, natural law.
Yes, natural law is there's a balance. When there's a balance, you have good, you have evil, you have up and you have down, you have male and you have female, and you have mother and you have father, and then you have children. Right? That's basic nature. You the reason communism fails is because it's a group think and nobody thinks the same. Nobody feels the same. We're not in the same body. So that's why it always fails. It always fails because of that.
Yeah, it's inherently flawed.
Yes, because it's not utopia. It's dystopia to think that everyone is the same. That's why equity doesn't ever work. Because nobody is the same. Because I called Kemp's office today and I said, I see y'all talking about equity. Like, what are y'all going to do with all the tall people? Because I'm only 4'8". How can I be evenly oaked with these people that are 6 feet tall and I'm 4'8"?
Well, didn't you see the picture? What we do about that is I get no box, somebody else gets one box, and you get 2 boxes.
But who wants to carry around all them boxes?
Short people who want to see over a fence.
Yeah, but how am I supposed to carry these boxes? Like, who brought the boxes?
Oh,
Where
I
did the
guess
boxes come from? See, that's
we'll have
critical
to
thinking
maybe
right there.
we'll have to maybe hire somebody to carry the boxes around for you, or
Government issue.
God forbid anybody try and make them do it against their will.
So now I have to walk around
We're
with
not down with
boxes
that.
so I can be evenly yoked?
Yep.
Or do they walk on their knees? What is the solution?
Yeah.
Well, that would be the
Sounds
balance in all
ridiculous.
things.
How about we just go with capitalism, and then if somebody wants to make something like a new fence that you can see through but still keeps things out, make it like linked together like a chain kind
Or
of,
I can
but
make a
they could
what's
call it
the
a chain link, and you could see through the thing, and nobody'd need to worry about
or
boxes.
we could
Just got
make
a fence
those.
that works.
You remember those those little glass things where it was like it goes. What is it? The things of submarines, so you could see underneath the water and you can
Oh,
look
the
around.
portholes.
Yeah.
Or you could drill a hole in a fence.
Or you just don't have a fence. How
Or you
about
could
that?
get some X-ray glasses like they used to sell in the comic books when I was a kid.
I'm sorry, but that's forbidden because that is critical thinking, and you are outside the box. So get your asses back in the box.
Government mandated trampolines around the perimeter of the fence that only humans know how to use.
Well, why are we at the fence? Why haven't they let us in the game?
I'm not even sure if there's a game in there or not.
But
Yeah,
no, think about it. If there's a fence,
actually, I do,
why haven't they let us in? Are they like telling us we're outsiders?
Absolutely. You're not in the
That's
club.
that's what I thought about when I seen that picture. I was like, they're watching a game. Why are they behind the fence? Why aren't they in the bleachers? Right?
Maybe it's the same reason why everybody was on the bus and couldn't get off.
Yeah.
Because they hold the key to the door. We have to realize we're the key to that door.
Absolutely.
You think about that.
That's the whole thing that what I was trying to say earlier is we have so much potential, and they don't want us to know that we have this potential. And I know everybody says they, but they are just equivalated to all the bad people wanting bad things to us, which they are in process of doing. But they don't want us to know our potential. We have so much more in us than what is presented right now. You can go so far, and the more you take control over yourself and who you are and own it, the better off you will be, and the more you will be able to do, because it will open doors left and right.
Well, I think they're selfish. These people are selfish. They don't want us to realize our real potential because they want to own everything.
Oh, absolutely. And,
so
and
it's
that's
like
the power play.
they're saying what do they do? Them people, those type of people are the type of people that put these things in your head so they can be over you and make you think you're under them. But really, if you open your eyes, you realize they don't hold the key, you do. Like the keys are in your hand, you just have to realize they are.
Absolutely.
There's
agree.
no place like home.
Hey, Sean, good to see you, brother.
Hi, Sean.
It's like when I had to do drug court, right? There was a judge, and he said something that sparked something in my head. Okay, like the little hamster started running, kind of that light, that bright light that pops on, and it's like ding, like it finally hit me. He said, I'm just holding the keys. I'm just holding the keys. And I was like, the hell is he talking about? Right? And he's like, I'm just
I could
holding
lead
the
you to
key.
somebody. I could suggest someone that knows quite a bit. I'm not too familiar with the Super American, but that's a really awesome name. But I know
It's my
this.
it's my
I
new
know this
identity,
person
Tiger.
named Alice.
You're a super American too. You know that? You just have to realize it. We're all superheroes.
I know someone named Alice. She's really awesome. She knows a thing or two about keys. Now, if I would just stop interrupting her and let her say it.
No, I have a new identity, y'all. Since everybody wants to do this, I identify. I am a new superhero. My name is Super American.
Americana.
I have I have the Constitution as a superpower. I have the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. And that's how I take down communism.
That's some powerful stuff.
Yeah. That is pretty powerful. We the people wrote it, you know. We wrote
Well,
it for them to follow, not for them to
yeah,
impose upon us.
yeah. You know, I'm just sick of the destroying the idea of what a patriot is and the idea of what America is. I mean, that's why I came up with a Super American.
Nice. I like where you're going. Yeah, see, I call myself a super Missourian. I'm from Missouri. I look at things like this, and well, since I know that each state is supposed to be a nation state in the 50 states, that makes each individual state their own separate nation. They come together to work towards common issues, common goals, for the benefit of each other. And that's not what we've turned into. But we can go back to it.
We're a collection of states. There's
Yes.
never been a country like the one we have. You know,
That's right.
it is so amazing to watch how these mandates and how certain states are rising up and then other ones are just staying asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can really tell which states are for freedom and which ones are for confinement.
And it's not the people's fault in those states. It's mainly the so-called leadership that has been leading them astray. You could call it bullying, actually. I mean, it's a simple way to put it. But when was the last time the people have been heard? It's been a long time in those states. I mean, California's starting to get their voice back right now. Sean can attest to that. He's from Cali. And those politicians out there are quaking in their boots because of it, and it all is because of when Sage was on here earlier, he was talking about it, that they're not afraid of we the people, but they are afraid of individuals, and those individuals come together as we the people. They are terrified of that because that's when they fail. They're gone. They will be just totally gone. Because that's not the system of we the people. The more they keep us confused, the more it makes us look towards the wrong things, to be distracted by the right hand, the shiny thing in the right hand, instead of what's really going on in the left. And we can beat them. It's easy to do it. And it's just not taught to us. You want to say something, Scrimshaw?
Yeah, may I for a second? Sean, I'd like to try to reply to some of your stuff. I think it's cool what you did with your supervisor. For some reason, I cannot type on my computer. It will not do it. I cannot type anything in chat. So
Crazy.
Just saying, yeah, things are whacked out here. Anyway, I yield.
Right on. Thank you. Sean, you got to get a different phone or something.
You might have to update it. Like, a lot of times when you don't have it updated, it starts to act crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens with my devices. Like if I don't update them, I don't like updating because they do it so often. I'm like, what are they doing to my phone?
Well, this is standard practice almost with Sean. He's always having trouble with his charge.
But you're right. I mean, the people have to realize that there's the legs on the table, and the game will be over when the people take a stand. The pieces
Absolutely.
fall off the table.
Yeah, you can remember this saying, when we the people stands, the de facto must sit. And, well, the real way to put it is when de jure stands, the de facto must sit. And the de jure is basically another way of saying governed by we the people. De facto is what we're presently in the middle of. Essentially, de facto, what it means is, well, to put it simply, in effect, but illegitimate. So it is in place and is being used, but is illegitimate until we, the people, stand up and take control again. This is what our founding fathers started. This is what we're going through right now is not what the founding fathers set up.
Yeah, I think we should be able to like put term limits on these people. I think that they have made being a politician a career, and it was never meant to be that way. I think they should all be required to have a job besides politics.
Well, and that's how it was originally set up. Did you know that? That's actually how it was done. They weren't politicians.
Even with the churches, it was the same way. Even the preachers, they had things that they did all week. It was just on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. But they made it an everyday thing now.
Exactly. They forced it upon us. They changed it. Now, that's the whole thing about what I'm talking about is right now.
The natural order, basically, is what you're talking about.
Right. Well, they took us away from the natural order. The natural order has been bastardized, and this is what we're dealing with today. All these politicians, career politicians, which is two words that never should have been put together. And the founding fathers knew this. Originally, it was they would meet together if they had one specific thing to do, because politicians aren't supposed to be constantly. It shouldn't be their job, just like you were saying. They come together, they do something, they deliver what they're supposed to do, and then they disband. They go back to their states, they go back to their jobs. I mean, back in the day, there were farmers that were doing this. They'd take time off of their farm, travel to where they needed to go, deliver what they were supposed to deliver as far as legislation, whatever, the views of their county or their state. And then they would go back to their farm and finish tending their farm.
Well, I also think that like all the ones that are for these adding taxes and everything, I think it should come out of their pay, like their yearly pay. Since they have these great ideas and think we should pay for them, I think it should come out of their pocket, literally. Like before they make any ideas, it should be like, how much are you gonna forfeit your pay. And once you make it where it's a personal thing, I think all this stuff would change. Like if you made it pay out of their pocket, because they just run rampant, like with all these taxes. We got too many taxes, we got too many laws. I mean, Georgia, every year there's more laws. I mean, this has just got insane. When you look at all the laws that have been put in place, you look at all the taxes. How do we own the property when we have to pay taxes on it every year? I mean, when I go buy a cheeseburger, I pay a one-time tax, and that cheeseburger's mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, why isn't the land ours?
Well, that's a good question. A very good question. And this is the exact reason. Well, this is one of the things that our founding fathers knew about. I mean, that's why we have. Wow. I didn't actually think I was going to get into this side of the conversation, but it's important to discuss it. Property rights. The government has made their way into every facet of our lives. This is no different than the stuff that happened on the Bundy Ranch and stuff like that. They are taking away our individual rights, or they can't really
Private
take any.
property rights.
Yeah, and that goes right with it. Now, they're not allowed to do this. They know this, but they're doing it anyway. Bullying techniques. They will
It's
do as they do.
Coercion. That's the word, coercion.
Yeah,
Or
coercion.
coercion nothing. Yeah, that's the. I don't know if I said it right. I'm kind of country, so some things just don't come out right. But that's the legal term that you use when you go to court when somebody is trying to bully you, basically.
Yeah, the verb is coerce.
Coerce. Yeah, that word. Did I say it right?
Coerce.
She's got that little accent on it.
I got
You
that
say-
drawl. I got a
You say
drawl.
fine. You say it just fine. We know what you mean.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like when I've gone to court and I've tried to say some things, try to speak their language, even in the medical field, I tried to do that. It took me 6 months to learn how to say stethoscope. I had to say it so slow because it wouldn't come out. Just like I can't say ambulance, it don't come out right. If I say it, it's like ambulance. I have to say it really slow.
Yeah, no biggie. Like he said, man. We understood what you meant.
Yeah, y'all get it, man. See, you're on my brain wavelength. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
But but like, there's gonna be a break. I think people like if you look at what happened in Virginia. Did you see that New Jersey thing? Like where that truck driver, he didn't even spend $1,000 on his campaign, and he de-seated that millionaire that had been there for like 10 years.
Yep. It's because the people are getting fed up and they're starting to realize that these people are not working for them. And that's their whole job, is to do things we tell them to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Now,
Well, I think a lot of people don't run because they think that they don't have the money to run. And I think that like him actually getting somewhere and not using much money is like a eye opener to a lot of people.
absolutely. And it will open a bunch of eyes. And it has opened a bunch of eyes. But the whole thing about it is it's the people that supported him. He wouldn't have been able to do it unless they did that. And that was the power of we the people coming together and saying, no, we want this guy to do the things we want him to do. And
well, it's just like in Virginia, the people came together, and you see how the media is treating them people.
absolutely.
And the whole reason they did that was because of the way they were treating the parents. You don't mess with the parents, man. You don't mess with their kids like that. That is a big no-no. You want to see a war, you mess with the kids. That's just the way it is. I mean, he was so caught up in himself and his ideals that he forgot who he worked for. Like that was a prime example of a tyrant.
Yes. And America's built on going against tyrants.
Yeah, they think we have forgotten. I mean, it just blows my mind how they think we're so stupid. Like they really think we are idiots.
Well, and they're counting on it, actually. I mean, to the point of poisoning our food, air, water, everything we come in contact with. I mean, it's no coincidence. I mean, they are trying to, well, I tell you this is somebody who watches the big picture and watches for the patterns and stuff like that. There's a financial collapse coming. It can't be stopped. So physical assets, get yourself food, get yourself water, filters, things of that nature, because
The water
things,
tablets,
oh yeah,
tablet.
all of that. Get as prepared as you can, because we're going to be without power, and we're going to be without a system for a short time. So be ready for this. I can't stress this enough. Better prepared you are. Here's a good saying.
Don't get scared, get prepared. Don't get scared, stay prepared.
Failing to prepare is preparing for failure. That's what I was going to say. But yes, you're on it.
Yeah, I've heard that one too, and I've heard what is it? It's not that you the plan failed. You failed to plan.
But yeah, this is something that's happening, and they've been pushing towards it. And it's going to cause a bunch of chaos, and this is one of the reasons why I do shows, is because I want to impart what I know to be the truth to as many people as possible, so that they can take that information and use it in their individual communities, in their individual counties, because that's where it's going to count. The people that are around you, pay attention to them, know who they are, become friends with them, because you're going to need to trade for food, maybe even shelter, water, stuff like that, because this is what's they're pushing us towards. So I really highly.
Yeah, because if you pay attention to the markets, okay, like think back when the Depression happened. It was like a big bubble effect, like, and nobody was paying attention to it. Everybody had their money in the bank, and when they had all their money in the bank and the banks shut down, people couldn't get their money. I mean, people starved. They think that that's not possible again, but it is possible. We've got too many programs, social programs. I mean, the money is going to run out, and you know what kills me? People are like, "Oh, America's rich." No, they don't look at the word deficit and look up the definition. That means like we got a credit card and it's maxed out, and like the little strip that's on the credit card, it's on its last leg. Okay, you know how when you go to put your card in there and sometimes it don't work. Yeah. That's where we're at, and there's not nobody we can call to get a new card.
Right. Once it's gone, it's gone.
And I think that's what they're trying to do with like this infrastructure bill. He's talking about giving all this money to illegals. When did we start paying criminals?
Well, that's one thing I was going to ask you. There's a story that was written about Colonel Davy Crockett, and the story is called "Not Yours to Give." I highly recommend everybody read that story. It is an awesome illustration of what they are doing right now and what they shouldn't be doing right now, because that plays right into it. The story itself essentially is Davy Crockett talking to a farmer, and essentially the farmer's saying, "I'm not going to vote for you again. I voted for you last time, but I'm not going to vote for you again." And he said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because you voted for something that was unconstitutional, and I won't back you." And he goes, "Well, what was unconstitutional about it? What I voted for?" He said, "Well, there was a fire in another town, and you guys voted in Congress to basically give relief money to them, so to help them rebuild and stuff like that." And he said, the farmer said plain straight up that it's not yours to give. You are custodians. You were supposed to do with that money to pay off bills, things of that nature. It is not for you to give away. And what has been done in our government for the past few years, they've been giving away money left and right, haven't they? It's not theirs to give.
Think that we, the people, need to get a class action suit started on misappropriating funds, and make the ones that sign these bills and everything, we need to get a list of who they are and personally sue them. because it's their personal decision. They put their name on those votes. Do you know what is it that crazy, they call her the crazy lady, the one from Georgia, the what is her, MGT, what's her name?
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
She's so awesome. Like, she reminds me of me. Like how everybody takes me, like how she gets up there and she says what she really feels. Like, yeah, that's what would happen if I was in Congress, because I would be a lot like her. I know why they put her in office, okay? Because she's a tough little Georgia peach, you know?
Right.
And you know,
Taylor Greene. Yeah.
she started making them record the vote, because at one time they stopped recording the vote. It was just like a voiced vote. Like, they would say aye and nay, and then
hmm
she realized when she got up there, she started making them to record the vote, which made the people stop and actually make a vote. Like, she started to record the votes, and it started to slow down the process a little bit, because now the people could look it up and see who voted for what, and you could base your next vote on the fact of what they had been voting on. That's just like what you're talking about, that Davy Crockett story.
hmm Well,
So that's what we have to do. We have to find out who has been voting unconstitutionally, and find people to run against them.
well, that is one way of doing it. The other way would be to stop it completely, correct?
Yes, but sometimes we gotta start somewhere. So I'm thinking that we need to just, like, basically, because I mean, there's so many people that sleep, man.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
disheartening how asleep people are. But I think, like, if we made a list and showed proof that this is what the Constitution says, this is who we need to get out, and we work towards getting the right people in there, we can change the system from the inside out.
Well,
You know what I'm
and
saying? We have
well,
to weed them
what if
out.
we could just shut it down altogether, though?
That would be nice, but we have to have something in place first. Like, we have to have the right people
That's
in
right.
place.
That's
So that's
right.
what I'm saying. That we need to get more constitutionalists. We got to get rid of these unconstitutional people. Like, we got to get them out of the chain of government. Like,
Well,
there's ways to get them out, and
what
we
if
need to
what if
work on that.
what if I told you that the reason why that would be a bad way to go is actually um, the better way to go would be for we the people to take our government back and to self-govern. That's
Yes,
what we
but
need to do. Now, the difference between what's going on now and the way you're thinking, which is perfectly logical for this day and age. I mean, this is what you see as what needs to be done. Get good people in the offices and they'll do good things. But I tell you this: putting good people in offices, in those particular offices that we have right now, are not of we the people. And let me explain on that a little bit. Now, this government that we have right now, I referred to the word de facto. What that means is, like I said, illegitimate but in effect. But what we have is a corporate government. Now, this corporate government was started back in 1871. There's this corporation called the Virginia Corporation, or company, one or the other. We'll just call it company. The Virginia Company was hired by our military. Now, the reason why they were hired by our military was because the South walked out of Congress and left the meeting basically open. What that means is that everything was in suspension. Our government was suspended in 1871. Well, actually, it was suspended when they walked out of Congress. Ever since that point, the military has essentially been in control. The military is not designed to be in control of our government, so they hired the Virginia Corporation to oversee, I forgot the number, 19 essential services, basically. Off the top of my head, I don't know what they are, but those 19 essential services, they were contracted to provide so that, until we, the people, started to self-govern. What that means is everything we are dealing with right now is a corporate structure, and it is not the self-governing of we, the people. Now, in self-governing, well, like you said, we have to have something in place, or we have to get ahead of the game and be ready to take the spot. Well, I say to you this with all the confidence that I have. We have something like that we are working on right now that nobody is taught about because they don't want you to know it. Because if you know it, it would be easy to overthrow this and reestablish we the people as self-governing people. And they don't want that because they're in control now. Now,
what I mean by that, okay, you have to get all your ducks in a row, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Until
Absolutely.
we have everything into place, we get these people, slowly get them out, okay? Like we gather, we come together, and once we have to do each state. Like I know what you're talking about. That we have to get every state assembled, all right? But we
Mm-hmm.
can't have complete chaos in the process. So if we have constitutional people that came into play, okay, that means we'd have like captains. Okay, say you're playing football, all right? You got a captain on each team, all right? We
Mm-hmm.
all need a captain, and there's got to be a captain in each state so he can lead the team, okay? So the more people we slowly wake up to the realization that this government, we need to revamp it, and we need to basically, there's things that needs to change, okay? So you spark, it's like a fuse. You spark it, and eventually it goes kaboom. But we don't want the shrapnel to hit us, okay? So we have to have these little captains. That's what I'm thinking, because
Yeah.
it is gonna collapse. The way they've done everything is eventually gonna collapse. But if we get our ducks in a row and we have our people together, we'll be sound, and we can lead the team with these captains. We have to have a captain in each state. You know what I'm saying? For when this government does collapse.
Go ahead.
Because it will.
What I was going to say is, now I understand the way you're thinking, but from my point of view, the captain analogy of the football team and stuff doesn't work for how our founding fathers set this up.
No, I mean, like, each state is its own state, okay?
Yes,
and that's the way it was set up, okay? So, like, the captain is like the sheriff, okay? He's only there.
okay.
He's not there to tell people what to do. He's just there to keep order. That's the same thing with the captain. The captain is never the head. He's just the one that has the plans, and they all work together. Even in football, the captain plays the game.
He's just another player.
Yes. Okay. So now you're starting to see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Nobody is over anybody. It's a team effort.
There you go.
And every player is an individual player, and he has his role. Okay. So that when I was thinking about football, when I was talking about a captain, I was talking about like in a team effort. It's kind of like football, man. And each team has its own strategy, and they play their own plays. And at the end, you got the big championship, and then the year starts over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's the American way. Football is an American game, but we haven't been using the right tactics, we ain't been using the right strategy, and we haven't had the right playbook.
I heard you mention assembly. What's that mean to you?
That's assembly is our right, as it's a right, God right, travel, to get together. It's not just protesting. See, they have put it in people's head that assembly is protest. It is the right to gather, the right to assemble is to gather. That's what it is. And when they don't let us gather and they're putting rules on us, they're taking rights, our God-given rights. Just like with the mask, they're taking our God-given right to breathe.
Yeah.
It's God-given rights. They're infringing on the natural order, which is our individual rights. Everything they've been doing in the last year.
Massive overreach.
It's not just overreach. It's inhumane.
Yeah, I agree. I
That's
definitely
what we
agree.
need to call them. They're being inhumane. They're infringing on our human rights. They talk about human rights all the time, but then they don't allow us to hold them accountable. That's another thing. They don't have any accountability. They can spout what they want. They can do what they want. They can spin what they want. And at the end of the day, they say, well, just vote them out. No, there needs to be accountability for their actions, regardless of who they are.
Are you familiar with the redress of grievance?
That's where we can address the government, but they don't listen to us. That's why I don't do public school anymore, okay? Because it was pointless with them people. It's like talking to a brick wall. They
Hey,
act like they're listening to you, but they're not.
Hey, real quick, Rebel Jack, go ahead and type in National-Assembly and throw in the link, would you? I'd like to invite you and Cyber Toxin to check out this website. It's got a lot of information, and I think it's what you're looking for. It's something I'm involved in. Scrimshaw's involved in it. Rebel Jack is involved. Sean is involved.
Yeah, I've been reading it.
Okay.
I've been sent it, so I've been like doing some research on what y'all have on the website.
Excellent.
So it's got a lot of important information on there. It's very, very educational. Like, I learned a lot about what I didn't know, which I don't ever claim to know everything. Okay.
Have you ever gotten on one of the Wednesday night classes?
Yeah, I actually have listened in and called in and everything.
Nice.
So yeah, I see what y'all are doing.
Excellent.
I know that there's a Georgia chapter, which I've tried to contact some people, but I don't know. I get so much spam in my email.
I set up an individual email for it. A separate one.
I've tried to do that. It's like they find me, man. They want me to buy stuff.
I tell you what, the one I'm using right now, you can see it as my name, vex@post.com. I got that from mail.com. And you can pretty much make it like I purposely made mine at post just because, it's Vex mail. But go to mail.com. You can set up a separate email address. It's real easy to do, and it can keep that spam away as long as you don't, use like the email to go on sites and, stuff like that will give you emails.
I think it's because Gmail is it's linked to your Google, and it's like I be researching a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely it is part of Google, actually. So yeah, I would recommend you use that less and less. I mean, hell, I got a Yahoo account that I use for all the spam and just frivolous stuff that I have. But I use the mail.com one for business and stuff, and it keeps everything separate. Little tip for you if you're interested.
Did you see the thing where Sweden has this? I don't know. There's a secure thing. I seen an advertisement for it. It's like they can't hack your email. They can't because they be tracking us.
Oh, absolutely. There's a service called Mozilla Thunderbird that we use for secure things. Yeah, believe me, National Assembly is all about security.
Yeah,
We have
because
lots of people trying to tear us apart.
Yeah, there's like with all the corruption with the FBI and everything, it's like you have to vet people, man. I mean, you can't just take people for their word anymore. You have to know if they're real people, what they're about, and everything. Because like after January 6th, it was very clear that many groups have been infiltrated.
Many groups have been led by the feds.
Yeah, you know when that happened, I had I don't know how many people on my Facebook that just disappeared after that day. Like I was like, you know how you go through your messenger and it's like the picture just disappears, and then the whole conversation was gone. I was like, what? Have you ever had that happen? Like when you're talking to somebody, the whole conversation just disappeared.
Yeah, it happened on my Facebook, and that was the last time I actively really used my Facebook.
Yeah, because I'm getting rid of the social media. I've come to the conclusion that when they started to put on that Facebook, it says, what is it? What's on your mind? You know, that kind of triggered a thought. Like, why do they need to know? Like, do you know how dangerous it is for somebody to be in my head and I have an imagination? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just think about that. And then, you know, we're feeding them. We have let Big Brother in so many ways and forms. It's like insane.
Well, to put it accurately, they kind of barged in, and we allowed them.
No, they convinced us by dumbing us down that we needed these things. They turned us into consumers, not producers, consumers. You look at the way, if you look at it's wild, man. When you really think about how we were swooped under the rug, slowly but surely.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I brought up the Smith-Mundt Act, is because that enabled this all to happen, and hardly anybody understands the massive effect that had on American people, because they started believing. I mean, they trusted the news, and they used that against us. And they've been doing it for long before the Modernization Act was put in place by Obama, but they were doing it in small increments, and it basically got past a lot of the what people refer to as the fact checkers, but I'm talking about the old fact checkers, as in like the editors and things of that nature, where it was their job to make sure everything that was printed was as much truth as they saw fit. Sure, there were storylines and stuff like that, but in general, they were supposed to tell us the truth, and they haven't been for the longest time.
Well, have you looked at like back when the Russians were doing their propaganda, how they would go to small towns and small countries and they'd put a little whisper in their ear, or they would buy into one of their newspapers and they would start producing their propaganda. It's like what I learned when I was on Facebook, because what I did was I friended people all across the globe. And I think that's why I kept getting flagged, because I would say something that I guess wasn't allowed in certain countries, because there was like I would get notifications like this is something that goes against the standards in this country, blah blah blah, and it was because I had so many different countries on my page.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that was because I'd see something in the news and I'd hit them up and be like, hey, is this really happening? Like when the pandemic happened, I had a friend in London, and I remember when they got locked down, I was like, hey, dude, are you okay? And he was like telling me what it was like over there and how there was like there was a Muslim community that had occupied the area, and
Mhm.
like the Muslim kids couldn't interact with the kids in London, and you weren't allowed in there. They had occupied the area. What's going on now in America? A Daily Caller just made a video about it. I guess they're gonna release a episode or something on it where they were talking about the cartels. They have got so bad in Cali in the desert, the rural people left.
Hmm.
Like they have took over the desert. So it's like we have been occupied.
Yes. Real quick, I want to pause you real quick and say thank you, Scrimshaw, for hanging out with me tonight. Your wisdom and intelligence is always informative. I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Night Vex, night Super Americanus, and good night Cybertoxin. I just want to say I really appreciated hanging out with you both. I gotta go to bed because I got an appointment in the morning. And good night to everyone in chat. Have a pleasant evening. Actually, I should say morning and day. Night all. Thank you.
Sweet
friends.
dreams, Scrimshaw.
Thank you.
Good night, Scrimshaw.
Good night, man.
Good night, dear.
And just in case you don't know, it's female. She's has a throat condition.
I call everybody man. Yeah,
Oh,
man.
okay.
Like everybody's man. Like dude, hey dude.
Right on.
It's not trying to not trying to misgender anyone, but it's like I guess because I used to be a stoner, man.
Yeah, I get it. I use that the same way. I always call everybody man. I try not
Yeah,
to online though.
just don't take no offense to it. I wasn't trying to be mean.
Right on. She's a good chick.
So Cyber, what's your thoughts on us being occupied and being overran? What movie does it remind you of?
What movie does it remind me of? Well, first I gotta apologize. I kind of drifted off and fell asleep for I'm not really sure how long.
That's all right.
But I don't know if they've made a movie to quite match this yet. It'd be a combination of Outbreak, Resident Evil, Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, 1984, Brave New World, The Matrix,
Yeah.
Equilibrium,
Yeah. Good movie.
a little bit of Blade Runner in there. Or, well, we haven't really got that far, but
Close.
yeah. Some Dune.
Well, you know that they do this predictive programming. It's like kind of like a psych ops that they've been doing with these movies. It's like they've put these movies in place to dumb us down for when they actually pull these tricks out of their sleeves, so we won't know what they're doing. We could, you ever been through something and you're like, man, this reminds me of something.
Idiocracy.
Yep. Most
Like,
definitely.
it's almost like they say, oh, deja vu. Is
Yeah.
it really deja vu, or is it like programmed seduced material that has been programmed in our heads since we were children, since the existence of the boob tube?
Well, there is people do talk about it being a holographic universe, that it's being projected in some fashion. So that would fall in line with it. The programming itself, yeah, more a psyop situation, I would believe. Well, actually, I would have to say definitely, because it's been in play for a long time. Our government has participated in it for a long time. Other governments have done it. So yeah, I would say you're pretty dead on.
Well, you know, Putin, he was talking about like the way America's going. He was talking about how the wokeness is destroying America, and he was talking about, what is it, 1912 and the Bolsheviks, and he's like, he was like mind boggled by the way America is going. It's like they think that they don't teach about it anymore in schools. They teach that communism and socialism is the way, which communism and socialism is the same thing. Okay, if you break it down, it's just two different names, but they have the same common goal. They have the same side effect, the same, because I've got that black book of communism.
Mhm.
It was written by I guess the French or the Germans, or it was in another language, and then in the 90s they upgraded it and made an English version. So like it explains, like, there was more regimes than I ever imagined. And this book, it's a real thick book. It goes through all the regimes, like the socialist regime. Basically, communism and socialism are the same thing. It's just they make socialism sound more inviting because of the word social.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
communism is like,
lots of play upon words.
it's wordplay, man. I feel like they're playing Scrabble, and I don't have enough letters.
Right. Rebel Jack put into chat, a lot of people hear the word propaganda and they think they know what it is. Then I tell them about how all the commercials are all propaganda. Each commercial is a different type of propaganda style. It's dead on. I mean, a lot of this started with advertising agencies. A lot of this downward spiral, or whatever you want to call it, started with the advertisements on TV. It was to
putting
get you to
ideas in people's head that
exactly.
This is the only way to live. What is it? The Joneses. Like, they gave you the idea of the Joneses. Like, people thought that they needed all these things to keep up, and you had to buy. You know, you had the door salesmen that used to come to your house and sell you Tupperware, or sell you like a funeral plot, things that you wouldn't even think of buying right now. Here they are. Now we don't even have to worry about a door salesman. All we got to do is cut it on the TV. And I think they really messed up the world when they went from the news just being a couple hours to 24-hour news. It's like an overload.
Absolutely, on purpose. Like I said earlier on in the broadcast, chaos is what they want, and the more chaos they have, the more control they keep. So that's why we have to sift through all this information and figure out what's the truth underneath it. Because otherwise, they're just going to keep on and keep on and keep on. And one way we can cut their knees out from under them is actually working with the assembly. And, well, giving notice.
Not
Hey,
buying
Latin
their
patriots.
not buying their products.
Yeah, you can also see that a lot of our products have been, well, let's just say we're not allowed to have the same products that we used to have. I mean, the shortages and all that stuff. If Sage was still on here, he could talk about that. He's been dead in the middle of that. But, all right. Latin, I'm going to bring you up. But I'm going to have
Here's
to
my
end this.
favorite buddy.
He dropped off. I have no idea. Oh, there he is. But I'm going to have to. I'm going to be shutting this down in approximately 5-10 minutes because I have to pull a double tomorrow, and it's not going to be pretty if I don't get my sleep.
Something's wrong with my audio.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear
Hi
you.
guys, I just want to say hi. Hello everybody.
Hey, Latin.
She's my
I had no
buddy.
idea you
She's
guys
my
were
pal.
live.
I don't get his notifications. Did you get his notification? Because like I don't know. I'm not getting any notifications.
I got it today. I did
Here,
today.
I have a Discord,
Okay.
and if you're not on my Discord, I'll go ahead and give the link out in the chat so that you guys can at least get the notifications there.
Okay.
I deleted my Discord.
Yeah, I saw that. What's up with that?
Oh, I don't know. You know, women do things sometimes without thinking.
Just got bored.
Well, I get like it was just I had the Discord. It was just too many notifications. I mean, I think it's just like it was just. I guess there's so many people in there.
Well,
I was like it was like I had 150 notifications. I guess because y'all have so many people in there.
You can turn them
maybe.
off to where they're silent.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've done with a few different servers is you mute them so that you don't get as many notifications just popping off all the time. I do have a bot or a couple of bots in my server that basically automatically post news stories and stuff like that. So that would be probably why. If you were in my server, you would be getting a lot of notifications. But they can be muted
Who
out.
created Discord?
I don't know.
Like,
is it a Chibot? Is it Chibot owned? You know.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Like, is it Zuckerberg?
I assume it's somebody in that realm. I don't think it's Zuckerberg himself, no. There's all kinds of people who have come up with different things like Discord, so it could be any number of people. I mean, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be very hard to do a search on it and try and figure out who owns it. But
you know, because Discord means like disharmony, right?
no, actually, Discord means basically conversation back and forth, maybe even debate. It's like
I should look at a dictionary next time.
Do you know anything about ham radios?
I wish I did. I know that I want one.
Thank you.
Oh, if you need one,
go back
if you
to the
need
chat room.
one, well, you're leaving me so soon.
I thought that was discourse.
Yeah, it's Discord, discourse.
No, if you need a ham radio, I found like a 2-pack on Amazon for like $30, dude. I just don't understand it. Like the like I haven't figured out how to use it. Yeah, I mean it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's kept me from buying one, really, because I don't understand how to put in the codes and all that stuff. I have to actually talk to people and physically do it, while they're showing me how to do it so that I can get it. But just reading it, just nah.
Well, there's a couple of videos online about them. I have a friend in Canada. They've been like buying them because like what's going on up there, and she thinks that something's gonna happen up there. So like she was telling me that that's what Americans need so they could communicate if something does happen, because you was talking about the bubble,
Yeah.
So if you are looking for some, they're cheap on Amazon. And
Sean just put this in here. If you know these guys by their handles on YouTube, they're knowledgeable about that stuff. And
Yeah.
real quick, Sean, you don't need my permission to use my Discord voice chat. You can use it anytime you want, buddy. Everybody in my Discord can use it anytime they want.
But yeah, you get your. I'm gonna go ahead and get off because I need to get some rest too. Life is amazing. I'm at work and my tire goes flat while I'm at work. Right? You gotta love life. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I had a whole tire, and then I go out, and luckily I parked by the air pump, so it was like it worked out lovely. But like life, man. So check your tires. Make sure there's air in them.
Every day.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys
you for
both
letting me come up. Thank you for letting me come up. It was nice talking with you.
Well, whenever you see me live, you're always welcome. Know that, both of you. I appreciate you both for coming and hanging out. I appreciate you both for hanging out with me tonight. I had some good conversations going. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good time. We touched a lot of points.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Yep. We just have to play connect the dots.
That's right. Fill in those little puzzle pieces because all of them mean something.
Yep. You have a good night.
Good night and sweet dreams. All right. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for that came up on the panel. Sage News, I was glad to see him come up. Our times always seem to be mismatching, but I'm glad he was able to catch up with me and me with him. I appreciate Scrimshaw Rose. She's always good information, good person. Thank you to Latin Patriot for coming up and hanging out with us for a little time she did. And I'm, of course, thank you to, I was trying to remember the name she had but anyway, thank you, Awesome Alice, for hanging out with me. And thank you, Cybertoxin. I hope I'll see you more and we can talk some more about stuff. I wouldn't mind picking your brain like Scrimshaw was doing earlier. But if I had missed anybody, I apologize. I'm getting a little bit tired and I need to go ahead and get my butt to bed. But I want to thank everybody for participating in chat. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the back and forth we have. And the more we share, the more everybody can learn. And with that, I yield. And I'll bid you all good night and sweet dreams.